Eagles. Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Football Friday here on Birds 365. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen. And we got an offensive coordinator in the city of brotherly love. Sean Mannion has landed, everybody. He is your new Eagles offensive coordinator. After a 17-day or 18-day search, they bring it to a conclusion with Sean Mannion as your OC, a former quarterback in the National Football League, been a coach now for 2 years in the league. No play calling experience, but Sean Mannion has landed. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Football Friday?
Yeah, it's jarring when you say no play calling experience. That's all anybody was talking about. Got to get experience. Got to get experience. And then they take the least experienced guy humanly possible.
Yeah, he makes Kevin Pachulia look like he's very experienced, doesn't he?
Yeah, interesting choice. I think with time to think about it, I think it was striking how much the Eagles branded this as a Nick Sirianni decision because, as we know, the narrative out there is that Howie makes these decisions, which isn't true, as I've tried to explain. And obviously Jeffrey has to approve it. I mean, that's part of it. But striking with the long statement how much they branded it as a Nick Sirianni hire, and I do get a little end of Chip Kelly feel here of like, all right, we're going to put it all on you, Nick Sirianni. And if you can get it done, great. If you can't get it done, I think this is it. I think this is the decision that will basically decide whether Nick Sirianni is going to be here in 2027, or even make it to the end of 2026. I think the clock has officially started.
Wow. That is the J-Mac first takeaway on the new. And that, actually, I agree with you. I mean, they clearly did put it at the feet of Nick Sirianni. But, John, let's give the people a little bit of an update real quick, or just a background on Sean Mannion. Sean Mannion's 33 years old. I'll say that again. He's 33 years old. He was drafted in 2015. All right. He has been a coach in the NFL. No play calling experience at any level. He has been a coach for just 2 years. He was hired as an offensive assistant a couple years ago, elevated to a quarterback coach in Green Bay. Now, I will say, Jordan Love, I thought, had one of his best years this year for when he was on the field. Malik Willis played well, in relief when Malik Willis went down. So the Packers quarterbacks had a pretty good year this year. But Sean Mannion doesn't have any play calling experience, which many people, John, will hang their hat on, and that's a part of it. But, John, something we talked about was, boy, I hope they don't just, go a certain way to avoid the backlash, and they certainly didn't do that here. There's plenty of backlash to come with this hire. And, in the face of maybe placating to it, it doesn't appear that they did. We'll find out if they're right.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, outside of two names, because they got out there of what the Eagles' original intent was, and that's Mike McDaniel, Brian Daboll, and even Brian Daboll. I think Mike McDaniel's the only one who could have come in with little backlash, and I don't even understand that, by the way. But even if you at this stage of the game, I don't know where you could have went and not have certain criticism. We talked a lot about Matt Nagy over recent days. That's where I would have went because I prefer a little bit more experience. They would have got a ton of shit for hiring Matt Nagy. He's a retread. He didn't do this. He didn't do that.
They might have gotten more shit for that.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, that part of it, I think, evaporated once the perceived top two left the equation. But I'm not going to lie. I'm stunned. They hired Sean Mannion with 2 years experience to be an offensive coordinator. It's just not done. not to say it can't work, because I do think there's a lot of closed-minded people in the NFL, a lot of closed-minded people in general. And that's, the Eagles pride themselves on that. So maybe it'd be out of the box, forward thinking. So maybe it shouldn't be as big a surprise from them being the ones to do it. But I mean, yeah, this is wrought with obvious potholes and potential easy, low-hanging criticism for the obvious reasons, just because this is not done. This is typically not done. You said no play calling experience at any level. He's got no experience at any level. He had an entry-level coaching job coming straight off the field, and then he's a quarterback's coach the next year, and then he's an offensive coordinator. If it's happened before, I can't remember it. Like I talked all the time. Think about Josh McCown. He's still not an offensive coordinator. I kind of advocate, well, if there's one guy who could probably do it, it was Josh, because I don't know, he quarterbacked for 17 years and about every offensive scheme you could potentially be involved with. Just extremely smart, extremely personable, connects with people, checked every box, and he's still not an offensive coordinator. Yeah, he's only been coaching a short time, but this is like, wow. I mean, think about the offensive coaches on this team.
I know
how long Jeff Stoutland's been around. How long Jason Michael's been an offensive coordinator in the past. Jamal Singleton. Think about how long they've been coaching.
So your takeaway after a night, and I don't want to speak for you, but you believe that this is really now focused in on Nick Sirianni. I agree with you now that you're saying it to me. I mean, this has really become Nick Sirianni's boom or bust hire, and he's either gonna sink or he's gonna swim, and it's gonna look really good.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles released a statement. They've been, if you go back to the press conference, and really go back years, even when people perceived that Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio were Howie hirings, he made it clear that to say that Nick is in charge of the coaching staff. For whatever reason, people don't believe it. Well, you can believe it on this one. Now, again, Jeffrey Lurie can step in and stop it. He could have said, "No, we're not going to do this." But other than that, and obviously he allowed them and he approved the move. And I'm not saying this is not a sharp guy and a smart guy, because everybody talks about him like he's a future head coach and raves about him. But I mean, if anybody can point somebody out there that has advanced this quickly, please, because I want to know, because I'm looking.
But it does look like, it does look like what you said. I mean, that might be true, but it does appear that they let Nick, put it all on him. And if they fail again, it's going to make the off ramp for Nick much easier when you're coming off of a Super Bowl. Right now the optics were not good if the organization wanted to move on from Nick Sirianni, less than a year after they won a Super Bowl. Now, if your offense falls flat again and they put it all on Nick Sirianni, that sale to the fan base is going to be much easier. Hey, we failed again, and Nick Sirianni hired this guy, So I don't know. That's what it looks like to me. It's like Nick Sirianni's about to sink, or he's about to
sink.
They
definitely. I mean, this is a branded Nick Sirianni hire.
Oh, from start to finish. I mean, remember the initial thing they put out too was from Nick Sirianni about Kevin Petullo, which I thought was interesting.
Yep. So, yeah, the more and more I think about it, it's straight. I get that Chip Kelly feel of like, who knows what's going on behind the scenes, but maybe there was a pushback that, like, I won a Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. Give me my coaches. And, maybe Jeffrey did what he did and said, all right, let's see if he can do it.
Well, do you think Nick will have a better opportunity to be, or do you think Nick will be successful as opposed to what Chip Kelly ultimately ended up? I mean, I think.
I mean,
guy.
As of right now, Sean Mannion is going to call the plays. I mean, I think it would be relatively easy for Nick to take that over at some point. But I mean, he has been. I wish he's said it in public a number of times, but he's been very, very consistent that he does not want to call plays. He thinks it impacts the other abilities or during game day to be the head coach. Now, he's been very consistent with that. And right now that's the plan for Sean to call plays. Now, again, most of that work is done during the week. It will be heavily influenced by Nick Sirianni. The old, the menu's there for you. Just pick off the menu.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is the head coach of the team. I know everybody in a pie in the sky.
Well, exactly. That's the fantasy.
Yeah,
the fantasy world of you got to give the guy more on. You got to give the underling more autonomy than the boss. Is just where does that exist? I'm still waiting for that answer.
That's just not realistic, but
yeah. So. It's definitely a Nick Sirianni branded hire, and this is, this is a bold move. It's bold. It's very bold. It's swinging for the fences. I think this guy's a future superstar in the coaching profession. That's what it is. I think this guy's a natural. That's what it is. And they could have, They could have went for the sharp single, which I think Matt Nagy would have been, but nobody's excited by that. They swung for the fences. Again, the expectations here, we talk about all the time. Boom or bust. That's what it's been, this position. Even Chris Long. Chris Long loves the Eagles. I saw him. He was like, I guess they were talking about Davis Webb, because I only heard the clip. And he said, well, would you rather have the Denver job or the Eagles job? And he said, Denver. This is Chris Long. And he went directly to that. That is, basically a high pressure position in Philly. And as we've seen the history of this team's offensive coordinators, it's boom or bust. And I think the same applies here. And they're swinging for the fences. They're going for the boom. But it could go bust.
Yeah, it could. They're going boom for sure here. Sean
Mannion, he's gonna real quick, Zander. He's gonna have freaking growing pains. He's a human being.
100%.
You never do something before. I've been putting up this damn green screen for 5 years. I still can't. It took me 10 minutes today. It drove me insane, and I still didn't get it right. But anyway. You're not going to step into a job and just have all the answers on day one. I mean, you've never done it before. Again, that doesn't exist. So my question is, are people going to have the patience with this guy to let him learn and grow on the job? I already know that answer. The answer is no. No. From Sean Mannion's perspective, it's being able to persevere and still getting the results while learning. Can he do that?
Well, and is Nick Sirianni going to stick up for his guy this time?
I'm sure he's going to stick up. It's definitely going to stick up for him.
I don't know.
But I mean, there's only so much you can do. Like I said, I think part of it's going to take care of itself because I think so many players had down years last year. I think they're going to get back to where they were or closer to where they were. In the case of somebody like Saquon, it's hard to get to where you were, but I think so many of the offensive players are going to bounce back simply because they had really, a lot of them, we always talk about career years. A lot of them had their worst years in the NFL. And I don't think that's going to happen again.
I don't dislike the hire here. I agree with what you're saying, though. I mean, what you're saying is 100% right. But I like the hire. I mean, everybody in the NFL does these, a very similar thing. I like the idea of Nick Sirianni with his back against the wall, still sticks to his guns and says, you know what, let me make the most boomer or bust possible hire in the history of hires coming off of that year. I mean, look, there's negatives to it.
The Final Four was very uninspiring.
Yeah.
The Final Four. So you're choosing between Sean Mannion, Jim Bob Cooter, Josh Grisard, and Jared Johnson. Those are your four choices.
Yeah.
With those four choices, I'm taking Sean Mannion. So I agree with that. How did you get it whittled down to those four? That's not the best search in the world.
Yeah, but look around, dude. There's still like 10 teams that don't have an OC. Clearly they're struggling too. We're almost through.
Well, and the ones that have obviously Arizona and Las Vegas, they're Arizona and Las Vegas, and they don't even have head coaches. So, and obviously if they go the way everybody thinks they're going, Mike LaFleur is going to call the plays in Arizona, and Clay Kubiak, is it Clay or I always get them mixed up. The Kubiak kid is going to
Clint in Seattle.
Clint's going to get the
Clay is in San Fran, right?
Yeah, Clint. Yeah.
Clint. It's Clint.
Clint. I always get this.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So Clint is most likely getting the Vegas job, and he'll be the play caller there. So those two will take care of themselves. Now, Baltimore, the Giants, because of John Harbaugh, they expected to have Todd Monken. So, yeah, I mean, they got thrown a curveball.
Well, I'm just saying after that, though, they don't seem to be all that inspired. So it's not like the Eagles were on an island here. It feels like everybody is uninspired by the candidates. Now we have Sean Mannion, guys, 33 years old, born in San Jose, California. Sorry, Cali people. That might be a knock on Sean. Just kidding. 6'6", former quarterback, replaces Kevin Patullo. He played 8 seasons in the NFL, 2015 to 2023. Oregon State, Pac-12 passing yards leader, 13,600 yards. Johnny Mack and 83 touchdowns. I'm telling you, this guy reminds me of Kellen Moore. 2015 NFL draft, a third-round pick, 89th overall to the St. Louis Rams. He played for the Rams, the Vikings, the Seahawks in his career. Played under Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, Kevin Stefanski, and Clint Kubiak. In 24, he was hired to be the Packers offensive assistant by Matt LaFleur, and then promoted to quarterbacks coach last year. And just last week, he was the offensive coordinator, John, maybe for the first time in his career, of the West team in the East-West Shrine Bowl. All right, this guy has been – Johnny's one of those guys where you know how the NFL, they fall in love with certain guys. Now you're hearing future head coach in the making, Matt LaFleur praised him. Goes above and beyond the call of duty. All right, got the McVay coaching connection. There's your rundown on the guy, and then the big question remains.
Coffee with Sean, man. Yeah, I look. Your comparison to Kellen Moore, as a good college quarterback, he's a very good college quarterback. So was Kellen.
Kellen was an incredible. I think people don't remember how good Kellen was in college.
Yeah, Kellen was tremendous.
I think he was a Heisman finalist, wasn't he? Wasn't Kellen Moore a Heisman finalist?
I don't know, but he was also undrafted because of his size. He's very small, where Sean's 6'6". So as far as traits go, that's why one was a third-round pick. But yeah, Kellen was tremendous at Boise State. But the comparisons in the coaching aspect, well, you can start there, but when Kellen got here, it was his 6th year, I believe, as an offensive coordinator. It's his 6th year as an offensive coordinator.
And he was good early.
And my the most positive thing I've heard about Kellen Moore when he was here is that he could drown out people and in a good way, and that when he heard chirping from AJ or maybe Chandler, he would drown it out and just do what he wanted to do, which I think is a positive. But I think that comes with experience. I'm not talking about outside noise. I'm talking about inside noise. He would drown it out.
What do you mean drown it out? Like just not listen to it, or have a way of
have a way of just, all right, I'm going to listen to you, but we're going to do what I'm going to do, what I want to do.
Right.
That not being.
Yeah. Hopefully Sean Mannion has that too.
Well, yeah.
Much harder
6
to
years.
do.
6 years. Kellen, as you mentioned, had a number of top tier offenses, so there's a little bit more cachet. Yeah, I don't like any of the comps other than, and then take a look at Doug Nussmeier, also a hell of a college quarterback. But, he's plateaued as a quarterbacks coach, now offensive coordinator. So there's plenty of backup quarterback. Hey, actually, there is one guy. I just thought of it. Because Washington did the same thing with David Blau. Now, he hasn't done it yet. Now, I'm glad we fleshed this out because I forgot about David Blau. So they're doing the same damn thing. Blau, I'm looking him up real quick.
Yeah, go for
he
it.
was playing the same 2023. He was playing in 2023. Same thing. I'm like trying to find one that's right in front of me. He stopped playing in 2023. And the Commanders hired him. Yeah. And they hired him as the assistant quarterbacks coach. Assistant quarterbacks coach, which he had been over the last 2 years. And then promoted him to offensive coordinator. He wasn't even the quarterbacks coach.
Oh man, that's even worse than Mannion.
Yeah, so I'm looking back in history and I'm trying to find one. It's right in front of my face in the same division.
It's happening right now. The history is being created as we speak, John.
Yeah. But same thing,
as much as I like to hire. I'm not, I see a lot of people who are just like, they're ready to think that Sean Mannion is the worst call, but offensive.
Well, people don't like change, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, Washington's doing it too. Maybe.
Well, wait. Let me finish. I mean, I like to hire, but I will say this: it's not lost on me the irony of, firing Patullo and bitching about him in the way that it was bitched about, and then hiring somebody who has, I don't know, 15% of the coaching experience as Kevin Patullo does. I mean, Kevin Patullo is inexperienced as a play caller and as an offensive coordinator. He is like leaps and bounds in experience above Sean Mannion when it comes to coaching football, which is pretty ironic. I will say that.
Yeah, well, and that's part of the fallacy with Kevin Patullo. I mean, it's like everybody in that building, they still haven't fired him, by the way.
Yeah, what is he? What is he going to be?
I have no idea. Well, there's still a lot of questions that
I need you to uncover that this weekend, John. I need you to give me some Monday intel on where is Kevin Patullo?
Well, it depends on, again, it depends on what he wants to do. If he wants to return, I think if he wants to return, he'll return. If he wants to go somewhere else, he'll go, because he's obviously they did him dirty. I don't know how
what Kevin called Sean last night and said, "Good luck." Good.
Everybody in that building loves that guy. And again, don't listen to me. Listen to Kelsey or somebody like that. Who's in it. Listen to him talk about Kevin.
They told you all year. Nobody wanted to listen to him.
Yeah.
Devontae, AJ, Saquon, the only person who never ever gave Kevin Patullo a public display of support was Jalen Hurts. He's the only one.
And I think that was overblown too, because that's just the way Jalen is. I mean, he's very intentional. He doesn't like to go positive, negative. I mean, they were think about now the stories start to come out that Jalen trusts Nick Sirianni. Think about all the stories about Jalen and Nick Sirianni aren't on the same page, and because of the way Jalen spoke. That's the way he speaks. You're never going to get effusive praise from Jalen Hurts. It's just not the way he is.
Yeah. I was listening to Jeff McLean's pod. He was talking to Mike Silver about Hurts and acting like Michael Jordan nowadays, and it just reminded me of the comments you made earlier in the year about
that's sort of a joke, a little butt of a joke there. But I mean,
a butt of a joke meaning it's not true, or a butt of a joke meaning it's what?
No, that he tries to act like Michael Jordan is a little bit the butt of a joke. Yeah, he does. I mean, did people not pick up on the cigar in the trophy? Yeah. I mean, the hats. He wears the same damn hat as Michael Jordan, the goopy.
Yeah, no, I know he does.
Whatever that style of hat is. Yeah, so he gets chided a little bit for that, but yeah, I thought people over. I don't think he disliked KP at all. I don't think anybody dislikes him, but somebody's got to pay the price. It's just the nature of the industry.
Well, hopefully Jalen plays better, because I think that's a big part of helping your offensive coordinator.
Yeah, that'll help.
Yeah,
that'll help.
Same with all of them.
Yeah, well, and I think that's why they're going to be better offensively, because I think the players are going to play better. Because I think there's a lot of fire under them because of the seasons that they had. Just the nature of, playing sports. You have up years, you have down years. You try to sustain as best as possible, but that's not always possible. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. And now we have that. Now we have that narrative all year. David Blau versus Sean Mannion. Who's less prepared or more prepared?
I think Sean Mannion's going to be an all right hire, everybody. Relax, take a deep breath. Sean Mannion has landed in Philadelphia. When will they let you talk to Sean before, like, I don't know.
If history says if we get them very late, probably at OTAs. So if history holds up, they like to prepare these guys, and evidently it takes 8 weeks or so. I'm hoping somebody talks, whether it's Nick or I doubt how he's going to talk, because they branded it as a Nick hire. I'm hoping somebody's talking, but I'm guessing history says the first time they'll talk is at the combine.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We will see. Things are going to ramp up quick. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here this morning. All right, the offensive coordinator search has come to an end. Finally, Sean Mannion is the offensive coordinator of the football team. Plenty to talk about with Sean Mannion when it comes to what does the offense look like. Is it another incarnation of the Sirianni offense? Does Sean maybe bring his own ideas into the John, are the concepts changing?
The concepts.
The
concepts.
Will they change? Will they not? I think there's a lot of good conversation when it comes to that. And then, how much of this hire is about Jalen Hurts? Or is potentially this hire, you hire a former quarterback, and is there an element of that, John, that you think Nick Sirianni was thinking about here? I mean, look, at the end of the day, this is football. Quarterbacks are very important to the game, and if your offense doesn't perform to where you want the offense to perform, in 99% of cities, the quarterback is a part of that conversation. Now, there's a small portion of the Eagles fan base that thinks that in Philly, the quarterback is not a portion of the conversation on offense, but he is. How much of the hire do you think is about Jalen Hurts, or maybe none at all?
Well, I mean, anytime you hire, as you pointed out, anytime you hire an offensive coordinator, it's about the quarterback in any NFL city. I mean, that's it's the whole thing. It's where it all starts. So, I mean, that's baked into it, obviously. Um, yeah, I mean, you have to get the quarterback up to speed and as best as possible, whether you have a great quarterback or you have one of the worst quarterbacks. And obviously, if you have a younger quarterback, it's even more important because you need to develop them. Jalen's been around for a while. So to me, I said I've been pretty consistent. It's about accentuating what he does best while continuing to get better. But I don't think it's about massive change. I don't think that makes sense. I don't think, I don't think that's a good way to do about it. We had that comment yesterday that, why every quarterback, I think that it was every quarterback has flaws, which is true. From, whoever you think the best, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes on down. Every quarterback has flaws. And then it's like, the same comment was, so you should change to what he does poorly. I don't understand that mentality. Like the whole point of coaching, and this has been said multiple times, maximize strengths, minimize deficiencies. That's right. Coaching. Not, do you want them to get better? Sure. Obviously you want them to get better, but you don't build around the flaws. You build around the strengths.
Well, what does that mean for Sean Mannion as the new offensive coordinator of this team?
It means similar to maximizing what the Eagles did in 2022 and 2024. You already have a template. There's your template. How do you get there? My two biggest things are prove the running game. 2, convince whomever the problem was, convince Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, Jeffrey Luck, I don't care who it is, that, hey, we need this guy's legs back into the game in a more consistent fashion. Those are my two number one things if I'm Sean Mannion. I'm pushing for that the day I get in the building. But do you have the cachet to push for that at 33 years old and a first-time coordinator and a third-year coach?
Or you hired the guy. Don't now not give him the resource. If they're not going to give him the resources that he needs to be successful, then why hire him in the first place? It's the same thing with Nick Sirianni. If you want to undercut Nick Sirianni at every turn and basically castrate him as a head coach, then why is he your head coach? Just move on. Go. Just get somebody that you trust. If you're going to hire Sean Mannion, then give him the resources he needs to be successful, because even the greatest offensive coordinators need the resources to be successful. So I hate the approach of, well, is he going to be able to get what he needs because he doesn't have the cap? I don't think you're wrong, but I don't think that's a good approach if that's the way they're going to see it.
Well, what I don't think is a good approach is approaching it like, it was notable that the Eagles accentuated on their website, and that maybe not, because his history is his history, and his history is, the Shanahan McVay offense, which, morphs off into its own, more McVay early, more Shanahan later. But, and if you're going to try to pound the square peg in the round hole, which they tried to do a little bit this year with the under center stuff, which was more about the running game. But, it's like my life. It's like the green screen. We're going to hear the same crap in the spring. Oh, there's more motion. There's more of this. There's more of that. Like that's the magic fix to it all.
It's not the magic fix, but is there an element of it that is good to add?
Well, if the quarterback, if the quarterback isn't comfortable with it, what is the fucking point? Go get another quarterback then. Like nobody questioned Phillip Rivers when he didn't want motion and you know, nobody questioned it because he did it well and that's what he preferred. And that's so you build around the strengths of the quarterback. Jalen Hurts obviously does not want a bunch of eye candy pre-snap. So, can you uncover ways formationally to alert, certain coverages quicker or better? And that to me will be Sean's job, and making sure you make the teaching points clear and concise and things like that. And making sure the quarterback can get to the answer. But yeah, if you want him to run Matthew Stafford's offense or Brock Purdy's offense, like, what are we doing here? I don't care about your delicate sensibilities. It's dumb.
Yeah, it is.
Why would you ask Brock Purdy or Matthew Stafford to play the Eagles offense?
So what does the evolution look like? Or is there no evolution? Is it simply, is this why you always said just execute better? That's it. That's the only
there has been tremendous evolution from year 1 to Jalen Hurts to year 5.
Yeah,
so that's the experience part of it. That's the experience part of it, and getting better at what you already do well, and you continue to get better. And in theory, that should continue to work. But I don't understand the people like stick him in Matthew Stafford's offense. Stick him in Brock Purdy's offense. And for those with the delicate sensibilities, why would you ask Brock Purdy to play in an Eagles-style offense? Why would you ask Matthew Stafford to play in an Eagles-style offense? And if you're so hell-bent and you love that offensive scheme and those concepts so much, then you have to get a different quarterback, which is far fucking easier said than done. And it's very unlikely you get a quarterback that's better than Jalen Hurts. So here's an interesting thought. Why not maximize what you have while you have it, and then worry about the next quarterback when you have to get the next quarterback?
Well, how much does Jalen play into that they maybe aren't doing that? I mean, when you say maximize what you have, in your textbook definition, what is the way to do that with Jalen? Is it to get him to run more? And I'm talking about him individually. I'm not talking about hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley 30 times. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about get the most out of that player. How does Sean Mannion do that? If it's not changing anything on the off, if it's not changing the concepts, which we're going to joke about, I'm sure, all summer. If it's not motion,
I hope his first play call is a hitch route. I hope.
Well, they were 31st in the NFL last year in hitch routes. Now, remember, I'll remind everybody this too. And an even more ironic look at this. Not only was Sean Mannion not the offensive coordinator or not the play caller, he was multiple removed. I mean, the offensive coordinator in Green Bay doesn't call plays. So he's technically 2 removed or multiple removed, from what LaFleur does there. It's not like he's directly in LaFleur's ear and LaFleur's calling the plays. It's not like Matt Nagy was.
Yeah. He's not like Scott Leffler, where he's taking over the offense here in season. That's a joke, by the way.
I know.
For those
it's best for you to say that. People won't pick it up.
For those morons who think that happened. I'll go one further. Obviously the Packers have a head coach who calls plays and doesn't pay attention to the defense, which is another conversation. Matt LaFleur. They have an offensive coordinator, Adam Stenavich, who doesn't call plays. They have a passing game coordinator, Jason Vrabel. They have a pass game specialist, game management guy, Connor Lewis. So you could argue he definitely, at best, 4th on the pecking order, maybe 5th. So yeah. He didn't have a lot to do with play calling. Now, everybody has involved with game planning, so it's not like he's not. And he got to watch one of the best play callers, and he's got to watch, from a different perspective, Sean McVay as a quarterback, and he got to watch Kevin O'Connell as a quarterback, and he got to watch, guys like that as Kevin Stefanski as a quarterback. So you have all this knowledge, that's real. But I mean, I don't know if this anything, and I know people get mad when I downplay it, but I don't think anything could prove more to you if you're being objective that play calling isn't as big as a deal as you guys think it is than this hire or the David Blau hire in Washington. This is about leadership. It's about connecting with people. It's about teaching. Those are the bigger roles. Those are the bigger roles. And, I'm not saying there aren't great play callers, because there are guys. Vic Fangio is a great play caller on defense. He has a feel for it. There are certain guys who have a feel for it. And that's developed over many, many years. And even then, people will criticize Kyle Shanahan when he's got 75 injuries and scores 6 points in the playoffs, or, Sean McVay calls a poor play with the game on the line, or Ben Johnson calls a poor play with his season on the line. Or gets a poor result more definitively. But I don't think anything could show it to you more objectively than a hire like this with a guy who has absolutely no experience doing it. And they gave him the keys to the Ferrari, or at least what everybody thinks is a Ferrari.
Wasn't no Ferrari last year, John. This offense was an old beaten down Toyota Corolla. With their exhaust hanging off the back.
Hey, man, those Corollas, man, they'll run forever. Don't dismiss the Corollas.
This one got banged up on Broad Street. Somebody blew a stop sign. The bumper's hanging off, and the exhaust pipe is dragging up and down the concrete. I don't know about that, but all right, John. Well, we'll see what happens, brother. It's going to be a very interesting thing to talk to kind of watch unfold. In a way, it makes it more interesting that they went this way, I think, and that's a good thing.
It's far more interesting than the other three options. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Cooter would have been fun. Cooter would have been hilarious.
Yeah, he would have been fun for the immature people. But,
yeah, Brian Pumper would have had a field day with Cooter.
Yeah. By far of the finalists,
got Jim Bob Cooter.
Well, Jim Bob is. You don't even have to get to the Cooter part. Jim Bob is.
Yeah, but Cooter, that's what makes it so funny. Jim Bob's already funny, and then you add Cooter to it. It's a funny name. It's a classic name. Guy's got an iconic name. He was dealt an iconic hand with his name. It's good stuff.
I don't think it's helping him, the name, to be honest.
No? I don't know, man. I had people sending me, people do the political banners with like a name. They had Cooter Hurts on the banner, John.
I'm not talking about it. I'm not talking about the immature people in the chat. I'm talking about in the NFL. I don't think it helps them, to be honest. But not fair. None of it's fair. But
it's not fair.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, of the four finalists, this is by far the most interesting. I will say that.
Yeah. Good stuff there. Appreciate everybody being here. Let's get to some super chats. Here's Brian Garner, member for 16 months. I'm intrigued. Doug and Nick weren't the Eagles' first choice, and it worked out well. I'm looking forward to it, even if it's a one and done. Well, if it's a one and done, it's not going to be just the OC this time. That's gone, in my opinion. That's gone. That can't happen anymore.
Well, it could be a one and done from a successful standpoint. Then Nick's fine.
That's fair. Yes. I was more thinking one and done as a failure standpoint, but you're right. As from a success.
Oh yeah, this is Nick Sirianni's hire. This They branded it that way. If this fails, this is it for Nick Sirianni in Philadelphia.
And how do you view Jalen in that realm? Like, is he in that combo too, or no?
Yeah, he's definitely in that combo. If you start blowing out everybody, you're going to start looking for the next quarterback as well. Yeah.
Well, that's not always true, though. I mean, you do see teams fire head coaches and come. Josh Allen just picked the damn new.
Well, it's hard. It's hard to. Well, Josh is still at the very high level, even though again, people with the delicate sensibilities are going to be up in arms, but not the same situation.
I mean, I don't know how people are up in arms that Josh Allen's a great quarterback. It blows my mind how people have.
It's just
shit on other players, shit on people.
People want Jalen to be in the same conversations. Who there was not. That's what I was going to bring up. I think it was Chris Long was talking about. Oh no, Fred Warner, I think, was on maybe Chris's show. Is talking about how good Justin Herbert was. Fred Warner, all pro line, all world linebacker, Hall of Fame linebacker, talking about how good Justin Herbert is.
Don't let Eagles fans do that, John.
Yeah. And it's like, you're not flashing your football knowledge if you sit there and argue to NFL people that Justin Herbert can't play quarterback. You're not helping yourself. So there's a little bit of a disconnect with the really, really top tier quarterbacks and what people think should be in the top tier of quarterbacks. But anyway, yeah, so there's already talk that the Eagles are going to draft a quarterback this year and try to, if they like some, obviously,
if they draft a quarterback early this year, that I'll be convinced that.
Well, they're not going to take one in the first round, but starting day 2, they might do it again. If they like somebody. I don't think this is a great quarterback draft to begin with, but I mean, that's Howie's always had that belief anyway. You draft a quarterback every year if you can, which really goes back to Ron Wolf more than anybody else. You draft a quarterback every year. And with the Packers, it worked. They're drafting. You get a lot of shit, but, you're drafting Aaron Rodgers when you have Brett Favre. You're drafting Jordan Love when you have Brett Favre, when you have Aaron Rodgers. It worked out pretty well. Now, I don't think the Eagles have never done it, invested in that level to that level. But they do believe in bringing in guys. And even last year, they took a shot late with Kyle McCord, which didn't work. And obviously, day 3 is not going to generate much enthusiasm. But if they like somebody, yeah, it'll start on day 2. They'll think about taking them. Just from the natural way they do business, and they want to keep that position loaded and ready because Tanner McKee will be a free agent after next year. So you start talking about, well, they know a lot about Garrett Nussmeier, who had a terrible year ending college, but, people were talking about him as a potential top 5 pick. So let's say you can get him in the 3rd round. Take a shot at Garrett Nussmeier? It's worth a shot. Take a shot on Carson Beck?
Oh, please. No.
Take a shot on Cade Klubnik. I'm looking at the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
There was a guy who everybody talked about a 1st-round pick until he got on the field. Drew Aller, Penn State. Oh, bad player. But everybody had him as a 1st-round pick.
Why? Because he's 6'5".
Hey, I'm not the one who pumped him up. But I'm sure you heard people pumping him up. And the point is, as as some of these quarterbacks have down years and people write them off, there becomes value. You know, if you were in the top 10 pick conversation like Garrett Nussmeier was, there's value there if he drops. I'm just saying it's in play, and they're going to draft a quarterback most likely on day 3, which is not going to be relevant. But if somebody's there that they like in the 3rd round, they take them.
Here's Suplex City. John, if Hurts back in 23 doesn't want Brian Johnson fired, do they listen? Or no, he doesn't have the cachet yet?
No, they would not listen. They fired him. I don't think Jalen had a bad relationship with Brian Johnson. I don't think he had a bad relationship with Kevin Petula. No, they will not. They're going to fire who they want to fire.
I don't think Jalen liked Kevin Petula.
Well, I disagree with you.
That's fair. He is similar with everybody, so it's very hard to tell.
I don't know one person in that building that dislikes Kevin Petula, including Jalen Hurts.
Do you know that Jalen doesn't like him?
Yeah. No. Doesn't like him? No, I know he likes him.
You know he likes him.
I know he likes him.
Speculate. You know he doesn't like AJ. We know likes him. He said it multiple times.
No, I know he likes him. I know he likes him.
All right, that's good. All right, good stuff. Suplex, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate everybody being here today. All right, John, next topic for you is this going to be a new offense? I know it sounds redundant, but we did just hire a completely brand new coordinator. We did just hire a guy who's got a way different background than the offensive football that we play. Came from McVay and LaFleur and all of the Clint Kubiak and Kevin O'Connell. These are like the highly talked about QB whisperers and offensive gurus and all of these guys. Well, we don't have one of those offenses in Philadelphia. Are we going to try and get closer to that, or are we going to not try and get closer to that?
Can we just replay our show from 2024?
Yeah, we
17 of them.
No, I won't make enough money that way. But
did they? We've already been through this. No, I'm making light of it. Of course, I get these questions. I get why people are going to ask these. How many times do you need to be through the same thing before you go, oh, well, if he's a good coach, he's going to adapt to what he has. You know, Kellen Moore. Look at Kellen Moore's offenses before he got to Philadelphia. Look at his offense post week 5 in Philadelphia. And now look at his offense in New Orleans. They are not similar. Now, if Sean Mannion, and I get everybody wants to change, and I get everybody, well, at least they think they want to change. And if Sean Mannion pounds that square peg in the round hole, I don't think he's a very good coach. Now, you have the diehards who are say, well, he can do it, so it's going to work. Okay. Be careful what you wish for. But I don't think you have to worry about that because I think Sean Mannion will get here. I think he is a smart guy because everybody says he's a smart guy. From McVay to O'Connell to LaFleur, etc., says he was a smart guy. All of them called him at one point a future head coach. He was known as a player as being a very cerebral backup quarterback who understood everything. I think he's a very smart guy. So if he's a smart guy, like I think, he's going to adapt to what he has around him, just like Kellen Moore did, which is a positive, not a negative. So, no, I don't think you're going to see the Shanahan offense in Philadelphia next season.
So it's another build on top of the Nick Sirianni offense, right? I mean, he's calling plays now within the Sirianni offense and whatever the Sean Mannion style of play calling is, which we don't know yet because we've never seen him call plays. Maybe unless you tuned into the East-West Shrine Bowl last week for the West team, the offensive coordinator.
Well, Sirianni used to call it his offense. Now he calls it the Eagles' offense ever since Kellen got here. So he'll listen to, and he wants new ideas and fresh ideas, and you'll try to incorporate some of them. But the framework, because the framework is built around the talent, is going to be generally the same as it has been. But you've seen the people say there's been no evolution from 2021 to 2025 are nuts. But the framework is large, and that's what they're looking at. The framework is largely the same. That's fair. But there's been tremendous evolution, and it will continue. But that's just natural. When you have experienced players, you try to keep expanding each and every year. This year, they did a ton of expansion that everybody just ignores. Like, they never went under center. They tried to go under center. You know, when Kellen got here, the motion did go up a little bit from what it had been previously. The entire time there's been evolution, but they're not. They're building around their quarterback. So that's the familiarity
changed too, and the output, hasn't he?
Say that again.
The quarterback has changed, like within that. While the offenses remain consistent, he's continued to run less. Do you think that changes this, like with Mannion?
Well, I think you have to. The goal isn't number of runs. The goal is putting the defense in conflict and making them believe that Jalen Hurts is a threat. That's what they have to get back. Now,
the goal is to be a successful offense, and when you run this offense, that's one of the biggest ways that you have to do it. You don't have
that's the point. You have to have that. You have to have that threat to get where you have. So by and large, it's yes, he has to run it more. But you in other words, people will say, well, he ran it this many times this year, and he ran it this many times this year, and they say just run it that many times. That's not the point of it. The point is to have the threat, and people last season figured out that he wasn't going to do it. So they definitely have to, or he wasn't going to do it as much. So they definitely have to get that part of it back. And somebody's got to convince somebody, whomever you believe, whether Jalen didn't want to run as much, whether Kevin didn't want him running as much, whether the ownership and said, we want to, make sure he's healthy, or Nick wanted to make sure he's healthy. Whomever, you have to convince, look, there's only so much you can control, and it's more important to have an efficient offense. And you're not going to have an efficient offense without Jalen Hurts threatening you in the run game. That opens up so much for this offense. And to take it off the table, whomever is responsible, and it's probably a collaboration of all those guys, made a mistake, because they can't be the same offense without that threat.
How much more room for growth do you think Jalen Hurts has? I don't want to speak for you, but it sounds like you don't think that there's much more to unlock there.
No, I think there's tons to unlock it. You hear about Tom Brady talk about experience and why, he understood the game. He calls it, we have the cheat code, basically. We know everything is going on. The more you play, the more you understand. It doesn't matter how many disguises they have. You understand, you've seen it. So that's where the evolution comes from. I think everybody, I talk about synonyms a lot. Youth is not a synonym for innovation. It could be innovative. Not all new ideas, I say all the time, are good ideas. By definition, innovation is new, but everything new is not innovation. I think way too many people talk about evolution like doing something different rather than getting better at what you do. Like, you can't turn Jalen Hurts into Joe Burrow. You can't turn Jalen Hurts into Matthew Stafford. Just as, again, for the delicate sensibilities of the world, you can't turn Matthew Stafford into Jalen Hurts. This is one of the discussions that frustrates me to no end, because I don't understand why people don't understand it. Like, why would you want to turn Jalen Hurts into Jared Goff? And why would you want to turn Jared Goff into Jalen Hurts? Oh, you got to run more, Jared Goff. You got to do more zone read stuff, more RPO stuff.
Yeah, but
why?
It's not. Why does it have to be Jared Goff? The number one skill set for a quarterback, and this has been true for the 100.
I said 5 different quarterbacks' names. I said Matthew Stafford. I said Brock Purdy. I said Jared Goff.
Yeah,
I said a couple of them.
All right, that's fine. I mean, I'm just saying.
Burrow.
The number one skill set, for a quarterback, is to be able to throw the ball really well and successfully and on time.
That's fine. If that's the offense you want, then go get a different quarterback. There's different ways to win. The Eagles have won more than those teams. There's different ways to win.
Yeah,
but if you want to play that style, go get it, and that's fine. Most teams do. That's why I say, why do these coordinators choose different places? They don't want to play this style. That's a large part of it. I've been saying that for 3 years. Most people do not want to play this style. If you want to play that style, that's fine. You go out and you get a certain quarterback. Why did Kyle Shanahan default to the 7th round pick over the 3rd pick in the draft? Because he wants to run his damn concepts and his damn schemes.
All right.
He doesn't want to run RPO stuff. He doesn't want to do that. So he shipped it off a top 5 pick to a 7th round pick because he was better fit for his offense. He wants to run that offense. If you want to run that offense, great. Go find a quarterback to run that offense.
Well, so what's the evolution then look like, in Jalen Hurts' offense? Is there? That's why I asked, do you think there's more to unlock? Because I get what you're saying. I mean, it's not lost on me. I understand it. But what's the evolution then look like outside of just execute? Just everybody executes.
The evolution. Well, the evolution is getting what Tom says. The evolution is your experience allows you to understand what's going on better, and you're in a better position to manipulate things at the line of scrimmage and take advantage of what the defense is doing. All that comes. Tom Brady at 28 was not the Tom Brady he was at 44 from a mental standpoint. So the more you play, the more experience, the better you get at what you do. He's already improved dramatically in that area. You go back to Jalen Hurts of 2021, the Todd Bowles book that everyone took. You just flush him right in the play, flush him left. Excuse me, and the play's over. That's it. He's improved dramatically since that, and dramatically. But I don't think people consider that as evolution. They consider evolution something else that he hasn't done, or that he hasn't done to the level of the consistency he needs to do. So I think people need to change the vault setting on that.
Fair enough. Good point. We got Caden Steele coming up in about 10 minutes. We'll talk to Caden Steele, see what he has to say about this hire. Interesting hire for the Philadelphia Eagles. Sean Mannion has landed. All right, there's going to be a lot of talk about Sean Mannion and what he's going to bring to the team and what he's going to bring to the offense and if they will fall flat. John, in your opinion, too big of a risk? It's a risky hire. There's no doubt about that.
When I get to talk to Nick, he's the one risking. So, I mean, is it too big of a risk? That's an interesting question. If you think he's the best guy, I think you take the best guy. Is it a risk from the outside world standpoint? Yes, big risk. Maybe he thinks about it differently. For what they were down to, like this is what I would have picked with the Final Four. I would have picked this guy. So from that standpoint, I think it's a good decision. Certainly not the way the Eagles wanted the search to go. That's bullshit. They wanted it to go in a different direction, but once you don't get the options that you circled, and that if that were the Final Four, and that I think this is the best option of that Final Four. But there's a lot of risk from the standpoint of it doesn't work. Like I said, I don't think it was a coincidence they branded it the way they did. Is what I'm trying to say. If it hasn't gotten across, this is on Nick Sirianni.
Yep. So if this doesn't work, Nick is done. That would be. Is that your
my opinion? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how he survives this failing. I can't picture a path. Can you?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So by that nature, yes, it's a big risk, and that's why I said they're swinging for the fences here.
Yeah.
They're not trying to choke up on the bat and slap it in the right field.
They're installing the reason to fire Nick. It's like true.
Well, that's why I brought up the Chip Kelly thing. You can make the same argument there. They were installing a reason to fire Chip Kelly. You can make the same argument. And that's happened. So nobody else put their name on this hire other than the Philadelphia Eagles obviously would take exception to that, but this was all Nick from start to finish, even though nobody believed it.
I mean, he had to get approval, right?
Well, ultimately, Jeffrey can do whatever he wants. So, obviously, if he says, I'm not hiring a third-year coach to be my offensive coordinator, you can't hire him. Period. So obviously you need approval, and Jeffrey approved it. But did he approve it because he had explained the reason I bring up the Chip Kelly situation is because Jeffrey explained his thinking afterwards. He said, I needed to give him that power, which he was craving in personnel, to see what we really had. Well, this might be his. I needed to give Nick the power to do what he wanted to do to see what we really have. I guarantee you, if he fires him next year, you'll be having a similar conversation with Jeffrey Lurie. He will be saying similar things to that. I needed to see what we had. I guarantee you have that. I guarantee it.
John, this is a weird organization, dude. They're a weird-ass organization. They really are. I know Eagle fans don't want to hear that, but that's how they come across to me. They just come across like they're inside those NovaCare walls. It's a weird environment. It doesn't I understand people who might not want to work in Philly. It seems like a really odd environment. The whole thing. The owner, the GM, the owner's son, the coach, the I don't know. The whole thing to me just comes across as weird.
I wouldn't put Julian in too much of the crosshairs. I think he gets too much. I think he gets too much shit. But other than that, it is. It's not. It's a typical place to work. It is. I mean, Chris Long's. Don't listen to me. Listen to Chris Long. It's a typical. Anybody who doesn't see it's a typical place to work, I can't help you. I mean, what's easy about this? I told you the story. I was talking to an executive last year before, in the midst of all the shit that Kevin was taking. And he went down the litany of offensive coordinators. They hate them all. They're going to hate this guy. There's no getting away. There's no getting around it. I mean, again, he throws a hitch route in his first series, and people are going to lose their fucking minds. If he's not Sean McVay or Matt LaFleur in game 2, they're going to lose their fucking minds. It's not an easy place to work. And then you bring in the politics and is Howie involved with this? Is Jeffrey coming down? Is this, you have it's very difficult. And that's why Nick Sirianni's been really better than people think, because he's been able to avoid the landmines for 5 seasons going into a 6th season. But boy, they just buried a bunch of new IEDs that are all over the place, and he's got to navigate them all. And he's responsible for it all, because they just said, hey, you might as well put a spotlight on Nick Sirianni. This guy made this decision. That's what they did.
Boy, I tell you what, an interesting search has come to an end, and it's come to an end with Sean Mannion. I'm just reading some stuff about Sean right now as we do it. I do, I almost appreciate the ability, the way that Nick, if it is all Nick, has stuck to his guns and just said, you know what, my back is against the wall. Owner's probably firing me soon anyway. Let me swing for the absolute fences here, and not play it safe. I can almost respect not playing it safe.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't even know what safe would be, but so I guess from that
safe maybe would have been, I don't know, Matt Nagy. No, he probably wouldn't have been safe either.
Well, McDaniel would have been safe, but that's my point. I'm like, well, he's the top guy, the perceived top guy.
I don't know if McDaniel would have been safe, because then would you have had expectations that were hard to reach?
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think there is a safe option. Like there, take out the revisionist history, and that's what there's never been an offensive coordinator, and since I've been here, that hasn't taken immense loads of shit. Immense, and people say, "Well, Kellen, are you kidding me?" People just ignore. Yeah. But Shane Steichen was brutalized. Do people remember Shane Steichen press conferences? Brutalized.
He didn't say much. And then you used to say he's way better off. He's way better behind the scenes.
Yeah. So that's just revisionist history based on success. And you can have success because that's proven as well. But you're taking some serious shit along the way to that success. There's no getting around it. That's most NFL cities, but it is elevated here. No doubt about that. It is elevated.
Hard to tell this right now, John, but do you think this is like a bad hire? What you know right now?
I would newer say any hire is a bad hire, because how the hell would I know? I mean, I'll give everybody a chance.
Well, you have an opinion, obviously. You're not, you're not just.
I think it's I think it's, to use your word earlier, it's a risky hire. I think that. He might be Roy Hobbs of NFL coaching, the natural, for people that don't know. He might be the natural. How the hell do I know? People speak glowingly about him. He's obviously a smart guy. So he might be Roy Hobbs, but it's a risky thing. It's a risky way to go. Same thing with David Blau in Washington. Hey, you're the assistant quarterback. You want to be offensive coordinator? Let's ask Caden. He's here. Yeah. Caden, you want to be offensive coordinator?
Speaking of, let's bring him in. You want to bring him in?
Yeah, let's bring him in.
All right, we got Caden Steele set to join us right now here on Birds 365. We turn to Caden. He joins us here. Caden, welcome to the program, man. The Eagles have landed on an offensive coordinator after, I think, 17 long days, if I'm not mistaken. Sean Mannion is the newest offensive coordinator in Philly. Caden, how you doing on this Football Friday, my friend?
Doing well. I'm not sure if I would want to be an offensive coordinator here. It's kind of
why I take Denver. I take Arizona. Yeah, I might take somewhere else. All right, but yes, our long local nightmare is over after 17 days or whatever it took. I'm sure you, like me, predicted Sean Mannion would be the offensive coordinator. Never thought I would hear that name. Your thoughts, your immediate thoughts when you got the word that I did think when it got down to the Final Four and we heard the Final Four, I do think, it became a little bit clearer that he had some momentum, but wow, 2 years coaching experience. And now he's the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. That sounds risky to me. What's it sound like to Caden Steele?
Yeah, I would have never expected it at the beginning of the process as well. But like you said, as we got closer, it did feel like he was going to be the guy. And that's because when you look at him compared to the rest of the candidates that are out there, I mean, once they missed on Davo, once they missed on Mike McDaniel, they were due diligent. They went through this long extended search. And if you're looking for a guy with high upside, I think it is Sean Mannion. So I actually do like the process to some extent, even though for our side of things, 17 days, a ton of candidates is kind of like, all right, when are you just going to get to it? But I think Sean Mannion, just from the people he's been around, that's a huge factor. I'll bet on a guy that's been around a ton of smart coaches: Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, Dave Canales, Grant Udinski. I mean, just the list goes on and on around the smart offensive coaches that are either really great head coaches or even a guy like Grant Udinski is considered one of the next risers in the NFL. So that pipeline intrigues me because I think the Eagles offense, will see to what extent, but they do need fresh ideas, and I do think they need to overhaul a little bit of what they do, and how they go about that depends on the personnel and what they're comfortable with. But I think there needs to be significant changes for this offense going forward, because right now it's not very good, and part of that is because of the system. So I think Sean Mannion's going to come in. He's going to bring some new ideas. I think he's a smart offensive mind, and I think this has a ton of upside. Like, there's a world where I see he is the next great young offensive coach in the NFL, and the Eagles are one of the best offenses in football next year. And then he's gone the year after, probably.
The head coach.
Yes. But there's he's only been a coach for 2 years. But I guess the only reason I'm not as worried about that is because he played a ton of he played in the NFL for a good while. I mean, I think 8 years combined with squads. And it's a guy who was never really a primary backup either. Like, he was usually a third string quarterback or your practice squad quarterback. Those guys are extensions of coaching staffs. He's not getting a ton of practice reps. He's in there because of his ability to make an impact in the meeting room, to assist the coaches, to assist the other quarterbacks. He's probably been thinking about a coach for the majority of his career, at least after the first 3 or 4 years with the Rams. That's probably been his mindset. So I think there's a chance that this is a home run hire. Again, none of us really know until he does it. Yeah. I don't hate it. I
don't hate it either, Caden. I'm with you. How much do you think it – you brought up change in the offense. This is something John and I talk about often because we just don't know how much it's going to change. How much change are you expecting? And then also give me a look, what does that look like? Is it more West Coast? Is it an evolution of the Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts offense? What does change look like to you, and how much of it are you expecting to see?
Yeah, I think there would be a decent amount, because I thought really the theme of this coaching search is when you take out Dabo, and I guess McDaniel would be included in this, but they're interviewing a ton of guys from the McVay Shanahan tree. Mike McDaniel, or for Josh Grisard, he worked with Mike McDaniel. Then he worked with Liam Cohen, who was with Sean McVay. They went through a ton of these guys that are part of that system. So that makes me feel like, I don't know if it's Nick or if it's Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman saying they want a new type of offense to see how the NFL is evolving. So I think there would be a good amount of change. I think one thing we could see with Sean Mannion that we saw a little bit last year in some games is more play action, more under center. I do think we'll see more of that. Those offenses typically do that. I think they'll try to get Jalen to go under center more, and they tried to do it last year. And it did well when it happened. And I think, we'll see. I think the offense could change significantly. I think they could try to make Jalen throw over the ball more.
I admire the optimism.
Yeah.
I've been through this too many times, Caden. Here's what's striking to me. You mentioned, I don't know if it's Jeffrey Lurie directing things. I don't know if it's Howie Roseman. Well, I'll tell you this. they branded this as a Nick Sirianni hire. I mean, from start to finish, you didn't hear hide nor hair from Howie. Jeffrey's not talking. You got the big statement from Nick Sirianni at the start of it and the big statement from Nick Sirianni at the end of it. Now, I know you weren't here, but you go back. This reminds me of Chip Kelly at the end when Jeffrey Lurie, after the fact, after he fired him, said, well, I had to see what I had. In other words, I had to give him this power. Chip wanted the personnel power. That was different. To see what I really had, Chip Kelly. To me, the clock has started on Nick Sirianni. This is his hire. This is his opportunity to kickstart this offense. And if this doesn't work, you're going to be hearing Jeffrey Lurie said, well, I had to give Nick the opportunity to prove that he could do it. And unfortunately, we're looking for it. I think the clock has started on Nick Sirianni. Am I going too far with this hire?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I guess I didn't see it in that point. The only reason I think this is a Jeffrey and Howie call, I mean, maybe we'll find out when we finally get to talk to Nick about Sean Mannion, but obviously Jeffrey and Lurie are really connected around the league. They're always searching for young offensive coaches. I feel like obviously they had to hear about him through the conversations they had with people around the league. And I feel like this is a guy that they wanted. Maybe Nick approved it. I guess I just didn't see it in that sense, but maybe it is Nick getting final say on everything. I don't know. It feels Nick.
Well, Jeffrey has to approve everything. So don't get me wrong with that. I mean, he's got to approve the hire, but I mean, boy, I'm surprised. They specifically made this spotlight on Nick Sirianni. They did that purposefully.
Yeah. That's interesting. But if you were Nick, wouldn't you want to go with the guy that you think is the more safe? If you think you're on the hot seat, wouldn't you want to go with the more proven play caller, even if he doesn't have the ceiling, but you think that the floor is higher? And
I think he knows it. You know, this is a boomer bust. It has been a boomer bust job. He's swinging for the fences. I applaud that. I think, I probably honestly would have hired Matt Nagy and taken the safe route. But this is bold. I will give them credit for that. To the standpoint of doing though what you did, what you're expecting. Think about that, man. Not only are you changing significant parts of your scheme with a quarterback that may not be the best fit for it, but you're also doing it with a guy that's a first-time play caller. So not only do you have all these new concepts you got to teach to a quarterback that's been doing things differently, but now you got a first-time play. But boy, I don't like that. I don't like that approach.
No, it's a tough position to put Nick in too, because if we're being realistic, and this isn't not even to do with Sean Mannion. Sean Mannion might be a great play caller, and he might give them a schematic advantage that they haven't had. I do believe that's possible, but we look at this offensive personnel; it's going to get worse next season. I mean, they might lose A.J. Brown. Who knows if Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson are going to bounce back? They're going to possibly get Dallas Goedert in free agency. It's going to look a lot different next year, and it might take this offense some time. So if the expectation is top 10 offense or bust, and you lose in the division round, let's say next year, and if that is like if they believe they have to get to the NFC Championship or Super Bowl next year, and Nick's gone, that's an unfair situation.
Well, it's definitely unfair. Yeah.
I think Sean Mannion could be great. But maybe it takes Sean Mannion 2 years to really become the play caller that he wants to be. But does he get the 2 years? I mean, it's not much to be like. I get it's not all Kevin Patullo's fault, but Kevin Patullo didn't offer a ton last year. If he could just offer more, which I think he possibly can, it'll be an upgrade. But just like, don't expect him to be Sean McVay, from the get-go. So I think it's a worthwhile hire, but it is interesting who made that call. But like you said, I mean, they're pushing it like it's Nick, and like they want you to know that Nick's a really good coach. Like, I mean, it's been like how he kept preaching that at the press conference. So
yeah, which I agree with. I think this is a very difficult place to coach. I think there's a lot of potholes along the way that you have to avoid, and I think Nick's done a pretty good job. But everybody's got a shelf life. And I think the clock has started. Now you can stop it. Same thing happened in 2023 after the 2023 season. The clock was started, and he stopped it and managed to turn it off, diffuse the bomb ticking down, so to speak. But now I think it started again. That bomb is clicking. It's ticking. And if this doesn't work, yeah, I think Nick Sirianni is going to be the scapegoat. He's next in line. You have that. But that's natural too. You scapegoat the offensive coordinator, and then if it doesn't work, that the next one doesn't work, you scapegoat the head coach. I think that's where we are. I think
my thoughts are, and this is I don't know how likely the scenario is, but what if the offense is really good, let's say, and so Nick right now, let's say Sean has most control or full control of the offense. Vic has full control of the defense. They go in the playoffs next year. And they lose, let's say in the division round, because they're undisciplined, because of flags, because of turnovers, because of fundamental things, and they lose, but the offense is really good. And you have a great young offensive coach who looks like the Kyle Shanahan. Like, what are you going to do in that situation? You don't want to let that guy go out the building. I think they put Nick in a weird situation. I'm not saying they'll get rid of Nick, but if that were the case, I mean, that's not an easy decision to make. You just saw something similar to that in Buffalo. I mean, let's be honest. Sean McDermott, long time, good coach, couldn't get him over the hump. They don't want to lose Joe Brady. Josh Allen likes Joe Brady. Joe Brady's the head coach. In Denver, offensive coordinator wise, they blow out Joe Lombardi because they want to keep Davis Webb. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not predicting it, but I do think there's an outside chance that Sean Mannion could replace Nick Sirianni. So if he is to the elite a level of a coach and you fall short in the playoffs like Buffalo did this year, and you don't want to lose that guy. I'm not predicting that, but I think Nick Sirianni, like you said, this is going to become season pretty soon if they don't live up to expectations next year. I mean, it was just crazy to say by a guy that's been to 2 Super Bowls, 5 playoff appearances, and I think is generally a pretty good coach. But this organization has crazy expectations, and rightfully so, because this is seen a lot. But it's different than any other organization in the league. And John, that's what he said. I mean, I'd rather take Denver or Arizona because you better make it to the NFC Championship or Super Bowl, and if you don't, we might fire you. And I think that's a tough situation to live in.
Yeah.
And if this is a Nick decision, it's different. But if this is a Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie have identified Sean Mannion because they think he's the next offensive genius. Right. I mean, they run this organization. So I find this whole situation fascinating. I think it brings more excitement. I'm actually glad they hired Sean Mannion. It's more interesting, honestly, than if they would have hired Brian Dable or Mike McDaniel.
I agree with that. I agree with
more
that.
Interesting. Yeah. For a guy who's writing about the team, there's no doubt it's more interesting. So, Caden, how do you see it with Jalen? I mean, do you think he's here to evolve Jalen? I mean, last time, I don't want to live in the past, but they brought Kellen Moore in. Kellen was a guy who had this crazy passing experience. He'd led Dallas to multiple number 1 offenses. I mean, he's a passing guy. They brought it in, and in 4 weeks, they said, no, that offense isn't working. Goodbye. Let's go back to this. Like, what do you think, Sean? Do you think he's here to evolve Jalen? Do you think he's here to get more out of him? Do you think he's here to turn him into a more pro style? Like, what do you see for Jalen with the hiring of Sean Mannion?
Yeah, I think Jalen was a big part of this decision. And I see your point on Kellen, but I think this has even more to do with Jalen than just the scheme itself. I mean, they have to maximize him going forward. And if we're just being completely honest about the player Jalen has been over the last 2 years, there have been some fantastic moments, but there is overall just an inconsistency in terms of who he is as a passer at this rate. And if he's not going to use his legs as much, which I think he needs to do next year, I question, what the ceiling is going forward. So I think they hope Sean Mannion can come in here and maybe he's an even better quarterback developer than Kellen Moore. And I'm not saying Kellen Moore wasn't, but maybe this seems to be Sean Mannion's specialty, and it has to be because he hasn't called plays yet. But if you look last year, at how Malik Willis played. I mean, Jordan Love was really good too. So, I mean, credit to Sean Mannion there. I think he was much more consistent than he's been the previous couple of years. But the 2 games Malik Willis played in, I mean, Malik Willis also played a little bit last year, but you could see major.
Yeah, he was great. He was great. I think he's going to make a lot of money in the offseason, Malik Willis.
He is. And if you look at those games that he played, I think I could be wrong in the stats, and I should probably double check, but I think it was still a low amount of throws, 18 and 14, and they used his legs. So he built for 2 games. They had Malik Willis in there, and obviously Matt Fleur game plan has something to do with that, but he looked like an NFL starter. So I think there is Jalen's a better player than Malik Willis, but there's that archetype of this dual threat quarterback that maybe can't throw the ball 30 times a game. And I don't know if Malik Willis could throw the 30 times a game. Maybe he has a plan for Jalen that he think he can maximize him, add different stuff to the offense that gets the most out of Jalen. And maybe Sean Mannion is the person that can get the most out of it. I do think that is possible. And I think that's what they have to think, because if Jalen doesn't get much better, this offense is not going to get much better. And I think Jalen's still, again, like Nick Sirianni, a pretty good quarterback, but there's obvious flaws, and they got to hope Sean Mannion can get the most out of him.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Malik Willis, because I had mentioned him, and I was really impressed with the way he played when he was forced into the lineup. And I thought, something I didn't bring up, so I'm glad you brought it up, was that, and I think this is a positive for not only Sean Mannion, but obviously the guys in charge there were LaFleur and Adam Stenovich. But, they had a high volume thrower in Jordan Love, and they shipped it to take advantage of Malik Willis. I think that's what you have to do. Hayden, for the life of me, I don't know why people want Jalen Hurts to play the Kyle Shanahan style offense. Why does that make sense?
No.
Why would you ask Brock Purdy to play the Eagles style of offense?
No, because
I want somebody who's going to accentuate what Jalen Hurts does well. And I think you're right. Number one, for whatever reason, whose ever fault it was, whether it was Jalen's or the team, they got to reverse course. He's got to be a threat in the run game. He's got to be the +1. He's got to make sure people are conflicted on defense. But for the life of me, I do not understand why people want to turn Jalen Hurts, who has had so much success in the style of football that he plays, into a traditional. Look at Kyle Shanahan, man. He said Trey Lance, top 5 pick. I'll take Brock Purdy. He wants to play a certain style.
Yeah.
I'm not pounding the square peg in the round hole. I want Malik Willis. And I'm glad you brought that up, because Jalen's much better. I'm not comparing them. Jalen's much better. But the Packers changed when they went from Jordan Love to Malik Willis. And they were successful. And that's what good coaches do. I'm glad you brought that up. That's my thought process. Why does everyone want Jalen Hurts in a Shanahan McVay style offense? I think it would be a disaster.
Yeah, and I see your point. I don't think they're going to ask him to do that. I really have a hard time believing it. I think they're going to adapt some elements from the McVay Shanahan offense that could, from a schematic perspective, make the entire offense better, and they're going to ask Jalen to do some things he's uncomfortable with. Yes, and I think that will help the offense, but I still think they're going to. The number one priority, and that's my question with Sean Mannion, is because of his background as a quarterback's coach, is and then with the reporting with Jeff McClain yesterday, talking about Jeff Stoutland having some of his run game responsibilities taken away and might not getting him back. How is the run game going to look different here? Is Sean Mannion going to bring a run game coordinator with him? That is the question, because I still think that is the number one priority for this team, is to run and establish that. With Saquon Barkley, Green Bay does it with Josh Jacobs, so I'm sure Sean Mannion knows that. And then having a good plan for Jalen Hurts, and I'm sure Sean Mannion came in with a crystal clear plan for how to get the most out of Jalen Hurts. That convinced Nick, that convinced Howie, and that convinced Jeffrey, because ultimately that's the most important part, is getting the most out of your quarterback. And so I feel if they believe him, I feel like there should be some faith that he has a good plan going forward. And I think the Malik Willis style that they play with him at the end of the year is what you could do with Jalen and at a higher volume or at a higher level because he's a better player. So I think it's better when Jalen throws 20, 18, maybe like 22 times a game, and he's just more efficient. I think that's the goal, is to make Jalen be more efficient, make the offense better around him. So things are just easier on him, because I don't think they've always built things in the best to make the offense simple, or not simple, but like I don't think they've always made it the most easy or given the easiest looks or guys are open. Like I've never watched this offense.
How hard is that for an OC though? You know what I mean? All right, you can only throw it 18 and 22 times a game, but they better be really good attempts. Kind of tough, no?
Yeah. I mean, that's why you better have a good ground game. I mean, and I think that is the number one priority of the team. And that's another thing. Is
Malik Willis, by the way, in that. Malik Willis has one start against Baltimore, 18 of 21, 288 yards. There we go. There's efficiency with 21 pass attempts.
Yeah. And that's
so I like the comp. I like what he's done. Now the problem is, Caden, is experience. He might be. And I don't know if you're a sports movie fan, but he might be Roy Hobbs. He might be the natural. He might be the best play caller coming along in 20 years. But I can't imagine he's going to be that day one, to your point. He's not going to be Sean McVay day one. I mean, there's got to be growing pains. There has to be. He's a human being. Even if he's really has a natural affinity for it, even if he's got a great feel for it, there's got to be growing pains. Is that part of it realistic, that the Eagles, who have shown, let's be honest, not a lot of patience overall, is it realistic that we can get through these growing pains and find the end of the rainbow in Philadelphia?
Yeah, it hasn't been that way. So my first thought is, it is a humongous risk, because if he does struggle and they don't go very far in the playoffs, or, say they don't make the playoffs, I mean, he'll definitely be gone. And you have a young coach that it's going to take some time. So I think there needs to be growing pains. And is this the place to do it? I'm not sure. And maybe that is what scared off other coaches as well, knowing that it's just such a, pressure here. And it's just, you're going to be constantly on the hot seat as the offensive coordinator of the team. You're going to be the guy that gets scapegoated. The only part I wonder is if Howie looks at this roster right now, and let's say they really truly believe in Nick. And I agree with you more that it's probably the hot seat's probably starting now, but let's say they really truly believe in Nick. They think he's awesome. They think he's wonderful, and they love him as a coach. And they look at this offense, and they're being honest with themselves, saying like, all right, we're going to have to retool a little bit here, and maybe we're not going to win a Super Bowl next year. That's the only way that I could see them viewing this as growing pains, being okay with, like, they want to be competitive, but they're also being realistic that if AJ Brown's not here and Dallas Goedert's not here, and we got to retool and rebuild this offensive line, maybe 2020, 2027 season, it's not going to be the year they won the Super Bowl. This is more about creating another window, and maybe Sean Mannion is the guy that can be an offensive coordinator here for 1 year.
Taking a step back, creating a new window.
That's the only way where I think like growing pains is like acceptable is if they are accepting that they might have to retool on offense, and it's not going to be the same next year in terms of talent, and they have lower expectations. But I don't know if that's the case. And then
do you think Jalen's on the hot seat like this year? If it fails, do you think it's only Nick that would be on the hot seat, or do you think Jalen would be too?
I think they're tied together. I mean, if it's another first-round playoff exit, and if the quarterback is not playing well, if it's similar to last season where Jalen, has some good moments here and there, but overall it's just very inconsistent and it ends in the same result, I think the conversation starts. I mean, I think the conversation this offseason is a little premature. I've seen some people throw out, I'm not there yet, but like it ends the same way next year, and you have 2 straight years of back-to-back losses. We've seen this organization not be afraid to move on from quarterbacks or any players that they think are underperforming. And I think Jalen has built a ton of success, and obviously has a great resume especially on paper when you look at it. I mean, it stacks up with the best quarterbacks. It's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But like the one thing I respect about Jeffrey and Howie is they don't care about what you did in the past. I mean, they are quick to move on, which I think is a negative in a sense when you look at the offensive coordinators, but they also resolve issues pretty fast when they see things declining. So I think it depends on how he plays this year. I mean, if he's bad, or if he's, I'm going to say if he's bad, but if he's just mediocre, and you got to think they're going to have to extend him eventually. And if you think let's say he doesn't run or doesn't get his legs back, and they think he's like the 15th, 16th, 17th, or 14th, even like best quarterback in the NFL, the conversation might start.
Odds they take a quarterback in the draft on day 2. They might take a quarterback. They always take a quarterback. I mean, at day 3 is not that real relevant. But if they take a quarterback on day 2, obviously they're not going to go first round. And it's not a great quarterback draft, but there's some guys, you talk about it. I mentioned Garrett Nussmeier. The Eagles know him well from Doug being here. That one time people would talk about him like he's a top 10 pick. If somebody like that falls to the 3rd round, that might create some buzz. And the Eagles' belief is sort of the Ron Wolf belief of draft a quarterback every time you can, just to keep and Tanner McKee is, will be on the final year of his rookie deal. So you got to keep repopulating.
Yeah.
Meaningful though, quarterback pick. How likely day 2 potentially?
I don't know if they're going to actually do it, but I will say if they do it, I'm not going to buy into the Howie Roseman. I mean, like maybe that's how they thought back then, but this time I'm not going to buy into, he's just a backup and we want the cheap rookie contract. That's going to tell me that they're a little concerned about Jalen. I'm not going to buy into this whole narrative this time around that it's about
cost-effective rookie backup. I think that's part of it. I think that was part of it.
But I think that's the floor. It's like you can say like, okay, at least we got someone on a rookie deal who's an elite backup. But I think that they're also preparing for the worst case scenario if they do that. And I don't know if I would put it like maybe 10%, maybe like 15%.
Right, so you're not there. You're not there yet.
I'm not there yet.
I'm going to guarantee they take a quarterback somewhere. But yeah, it's going to be difficult because they have to repopulate the rosters. You mentioned offensively.
Yeah, that's more my thing. It's like you might have a need at wide receiver. You might need to draft Lane Johnson's replacement. You might need to draft a starting tight end. Are you going to spend a day 2 pick on a quarterback? That's why I personally wouldn't do it. I think a day 3 investment at quarterback is probably just the more smarter route. And then let's say we talk about Jalen regressing, Zander. Let's say he regresses next year. And then I think the conversation starts next year about drafting a quarterback in the early rounds. I'm not there yet.
It's good to get ahead of it. It's good to get ahead of it.
But you mentioned the quarterback class isn't particularly great. I do like Garrett Nussmeier. He played with an abdominal injury at LSU this year. He's looked awesome at the Senior Bowl. Obviously, I'm not there for practices, but he's been a standout. There's a chance that Garrett Nussmeier in a weak quarterback class.
Yeah, he might. Yeah, you're right. He might race up the board again.
Yeah, he might late first or something.
I can see that. Yeah. All right, Caden. Sean Mannion has been hired. Mm-hmm. Jalen Hurts is not allowed to be your answer to this question. Who's his first call on the offense?
I like that. AJ Brown. I mean, that's
what I said last night. You better get AJ Brown on the horn, Sean.
Yes, I think that's got to be his first call. I mean, I think there's still some hope that maybe they can change AJ Brown's mind. Like, I don't think AJ wants to be here, but you got to call him and you got to sell him what your offense is going to look like. And you're like, look, we're going to get you involved this year. I can't guarantee you that we're going to throw the ball 30 times a game, but we're going to make sure that we get you involved efficiently. We're going to use you in different ways, and I'm going to maximize your ability. I think that is his first call because, look, as far as frustrating AJ was this year with the drops and like you could question the effort, whatever you want to do. And I don't know, he's obviously not the same player he was 2 years ago. He's still a really good player, and you're not going to find a player better than AJ Brown in free agency of who's going to come available. Like Cowboys are going to franchise George Pickens and everyone below him who's available, like Alex Pierce and Juwan Jennings and Romeo Doubs. None of those guys are better than AJ Brown. And you're not going to draft a rookie that, rookies, wide receivers tend to be really good, but I still don't think you're going to get someone as good as AJ right away. So I think you want to talk him into staying. But I'm still feeling that like AJ is probably going to be gone, even with the offensive coordinator hire. Because I just think AJ wants a fresh start.
Well, if Sean Mannion comes in with these expectations and he has no AJ Brown, no Dallas Goedert, an aging Lane Johnson, who maybe Lane doesn't return. We don't know yet. That's going to be tough sledding for the first year OC.
Yeah, it is, but I think that's why it's important they went down the Sean Mannion route from just the idea of what he could be. Like, this is a team that, and Saquon Barkley's talked about that they've always thought, your guy versus our guy, we're going to beat you. I mean, because we're just more talented. They might not have that next year. They might need to have a significant schematic advantage for the first time in a long time. I think Shane Steichen offered some of that because you had such a good feel for play calling. But this is the first time they're going to have a real schematic advantage. If they don't have those guys, then they're going to need Sean Mannion to get the most out of guys that aren't as talented. And that is the possibility. And I do think that is part of what they are thinking here. They need someone that can just get more out of less going forward. And even Howie Roseman alluded to that in his end of the year press conference, talking about how there's certain guys they can't let go, talking about the defense. Like, they know they're going to have to play Quinion, they're going to have to play Cooper and Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. The offense is going to get retooled. It's going to look very different in 2 or 3 years from now. And they're going to need Sean Mannion even next year. I mean, they're going to have to get more out of him.
They're not going to have him. So,
no, 2 or 3 years.
They're going to succeed, and he's going to be a head coach.
I don't know. I like Hayden bringing to the table that this is actually a Jeffrey Lurie and Howie hire, and they like the future potential. And if Nick falls flat, they have their head coach.
I'll tell you what. I God love you guys. I love you both, but man, people want it to be true. I mean, they branded this fucking thing as a Nick show. They couldn't have screamed it from the stage. This is Nick's hire. They don't want any part of it.
Well,
they couldn't have screamed it louder.
But that's true. You're right.
People aren't going to believe it. I know. I'm not. People don't believe it. It's amazing to me. I mean,
well, it's clear that was their intention too, because even back to the Patullo fire, they framed it the same way. It was all Nick. Nick was on the press release.
Yeah,
Nick
from start to finish. At least you have to give me that. Their intent is to make this a Nick Sirianni hire.
Yes, definitely.
Their intent.
Definitely.
I do agree with that, and I find that interesting. Is it like you said, is it the sink or swim thing where they're like, all right, this is your Nick, this is your last dance. You better prove to us you can get the offense going with this young hotshot, or is it that, or they just tired of the perception that Nick's not a good coach and they actually want to make him feel good? I don't know what the reasoning is behind it, but you're not wrong, John. I mean, everything about this offseason is Nick. Nick is the guy. Nick is awesome. Nick.
Wasn't Patullo also Nick? Like, you know what I mean? Like, didn't they just let Nick choose and it didn't work? Is that like, that's where I think maybe you have some merit that it's not all Nick, last year they watched it, but I think where John is right is it's not easy to move on from a Super Bowl winning head coach. And the only way to do that is to very clearly isolate and identify for everybody involved, the fans, the media, the viewers, everybody, that, hey, look here, it's Nick, so I don't know, a lot of ways to look at this, man.
Well, there's another little part, and make sure you follow last one from me at Caden _Steele 19. Make sure you follow him on the X platform. Read him at nj.com. His coverage of the Sean Mannion hiring, tremendous as always.
Hey, you've been crushing it, dude. Your work has been really, not that it hasn't always been good, but some of your work I've read lately has really made me think. Really good stuff.
Thank you.
So Shepty, has been out there trumpeting, and I think mainly focused on his, which I thought was the nothing burgers bullshit. Hey, maybe there'll be something else next week, and people are running. Vic Fangio's retiring. Jeff Stoutland's retiring. Can't trade people, so they can't go down the AJ route. But he did speak on ESPN with much more substance that maybe Nick will take over play calling. And they thought about that. Odds that at some point this season, they'll throw up their arms and say, well, Sean's too young. We got to go back, and Nick's going to take over and call the plays. Give me the 100. Give me the 50-50 scale. Is that very low? Is it possible? Is it nonsense.
I think it's very.
Nick has said he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
He has been consistent. He doesn't want to do it.
It would have to be a complete disaster. I think it would have to be just as bad as Kevin Petula or worse for that to happen. I think if there is marginal improvement, let's say they go from, whatever they were this year to the 17th or 18th best offense, I still think Mannion's calling the plays, or if they're middle of the pack. I think it would have to be a disaster for that to happen because, like you said, I think Nick, one, he wasn't very good at it in his first year, and I think he's come to realize that his path in the NFL is being the CEO coach. He talks about fundamentals and tackling and forcing fumbles and not getting penalties and being the connection guy. And he's, like you said, he's talked about that over the last 4 years. That's really his role. And I think they're going to let Sean Mannion have full control over this offense. And if Nick Sirianni has to step in, that tells you that this offense is really bad. And that means Nick Sirianni's on the hot seat. And I don't know if Nick Sirianni has the answer. So if it comes to the point Nick Sirianni stepping in, oh boy, Nick's in trouble.
Well, I agree with that. Yeah. But I will say this for Nick. I do think, because everyone paints Nick as a failure because he gave up play calling, and he gave it up willingly. He didn't give it up. But in 2020, remember, Jalen Hurts was a first-year starter. Devontae Smith was a rookie wide receiver 1. There was no A.J. Brown.
Yep.
I mean, there would have been chance to grow if he would, and I think it would have grown, but I'll just give Nick that. I mean, the assumption that because it wasn't great in Jalen's first year as a starter. And by the way, early on that season, he was trying to bring the Indianapolis offense to Philadelphia, and they were throwing it all over the lot, and he would have learned, and he did learn, hey, that's not Jalen's strength. Let's scale this back. Let's rely on the running game, which has been what they've done. So I do think there's a lot of context missing in that first Nick Sirianni play calling stretch, which was 8 games. And they learned from it, and they built properly around the quarterback. And I think we're still talking about it 4 years later, but that's
I think that's really fair, to be honest, because you're right. I mean, that offensive personnel was nowhere as good as it is now. And so maybe he can get better with experience. And I do think that is possible that he's learned, obviously, from that. But
all right, Caden, quick one, final one for me here. You slept on it now. You did all your work, I'm sure, right after a break. The Eagles love putting us to work at certain times. You slept on it. You wake up. Too risky? Good hire? What's kind of if you're hanging out with your family this weekend and they love talking to you about the Eagles because they know what you do, what's the response? Good hire? And what are they doing? Too risky? What's the one sentence to summarize this right now?
I like the hire. You go you got to swing for the fences, in my opinion, and I think that is. It is a risky hire, but if you want to develop an elite offense, something has to change, and you got to bring a guy in that has the reputation that Sean Mannion has worked with, the coaches Sean Mannion has worked with, and you take that chance and you swing for the fences, because I think you always go for ceiling over floor. I get the idea of having a safe floor, but I want
Matt Nagy. He's my floor. He's my floor.
I don't want Matt Nagy. I wouldn't want Matt Nagy if I were the Eagles. I'm all about ceiling. You got to get the most out of Jalen Hurts. You got to get the most out of your playmakers. Maybe it doesn't work, but if it does, maybe you have a top 10 offense again. So I think it's worth a chance.
There you go. Caden, appreciate you joining in, man. It's always great talking with you. Work's been great. As always, we'll appreciate it, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks man.
Caden Steele joining us right here on Birds 365. Great show there.
I forgot to bring up Carson Steele. Couldn't get Carson Steele in there, Caden's brother. New fullback of the Eagles.
I forgot to talk about that. That's right. I meant to ask that.
Forget to get Carson Steele in there.
All right, John. So John.
I can't believe people are still trying to spin this as Howie and Jeffrey, man.
No, man, I don't think it's that. I think it's more just dude, they do operate strategically. I think here's the other way to look at it. They just let Nick hire his offensive coordinator and Kevin Petula. Do you think Jeffrey Lurie came into this year with this window where it is right now, maybe even seemingly closing, and said, okay, Nick, it's all on you again?
Well,
that's also a tough sell.
I think it's it's a tough sell to people who think that Howie Roseman is pulling all the strings and has been.
Well, no, I just mean even from a business standpoint. I mean, if you're a CEO or you're the owner of a business, and you give somebody the ability to.
Well, I think you used. I forget the good. You used a good term. I forget the word you used, but I think what it signals it puts them on an island. That's not what you said, but it makes it clear. Well, that's what they're attempting to do, but evidently it's not as clear as they would have liked.
Well, no, it is pretty clear. I think it's pretty clear.
They're putting him on an island to highlight, look, we're allowing this person to do what he wants to do. So if it doesn't work, that's what I think is going on. And last year, I mean, from the standpoint, I go back to Kellen Moore. I say it all the time. I don't care. Nobody believes it. Nick Sirianni hired Kellen Moore. Fucking Howie said it. People don't want to listen to it. Now Howie's role, I've explained and reported for years, is to gather candidates if Nick doesn't have anybody in mind. And then, everybody's involved, not everybody, but there's a group of people involved with the high profile interviews. With the position coaches, it's all Nick. With the high profile
news here.
With the high profile, what let's see.
We got some breaking news here at the end of Birds 360.
Wow, they get two of them. Two of
the names have landed. The Eagles have hired Josh Grisard as their pass game coordinator.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, you get two of your final four, which I like, but now this also puts into play some, and I saw, the idea of hiring a senior personnel consultant or somebody like that. And I thought, that's what they did with Sean Desai, cutting him off at the legs right away with Matt Patricia. I thought that would have been a really bad thing to do. Now, Josh Grisard isn't at the level of a Matt Patricia, but I mean, automatically you're going to have like a given tour. Well, should Grisard be the offensive? I don't necessarily like that, but it is interesting. So Josh Grisard is going to be the pass game coordinator. So we're going to see see some turnover, and they get two of them, which is. Yeah, now we'll have another show to do. But I got to get off and talk to the Eagles.
Well, what are they doing? Are they doing something today?
No, you just got to get information and things like that.
Yeah,
on the hire. But
well, what does the hiring of Grisard as the pass game coordinator mean to you?
Yeah, I don't like it. Immediate.
Are they immediately undercutting Mannion?
Well, I don't think they're immediately undercutting him. I think that's the percent. That's why I brought up Sean Desai and they brought in Matt Patricia. Now because Patricia had such a big resume, big reputation. And Grisard's a young coach himself. So it's not quite to that level, but from the standpoint of it's hard to hire somebody with less experience. So I guess from that perspective, you have to put that in an equation. It's literally hard to hire somebody with less experience to be the passing game coordinator.
Like there's nobody there. There's nobody even out there. There's nobody even available.
Yeah, it's almost impossible. So, and I'm just talking off the top of my head. So immediately, I mean, it's not like you can purposefully not overshadow the offensive coordinator because he has such little experience. So from that perspective, I mean, the guy's got experience calling plays. So there gives, it should be a valuable tool at least. So the more I think about it, I don't have as big a problem with it.
All right. Well, if you got to run, get some intel. I'm going to be on at least for the next 20 or 30 minutes. So if you want to rejoin me just to give me the update or the intel or, because I do want to cover it, obviously, on the channel, the hiring of Grisard. So whatever you got to do, John, you can go ahead and rip it. Give your final thought here on Birds 365, and then I'll try and catch up with you on Grisard in a little bit.
I mean, and it's new ideas. I think it's and this is the difficulty in hiring him to begin with because of the lack of experience. So whomever you would hire, he's going to have more experience. So the question is are people going to immediately default to him? Now, the worst case scenario, and I think you could not have done, is to bring in somebody like Frank Reich as either a senior offensive coach or a passing game or something like that. You couldn't put in the Matt Patricia. So he's not that. And he doesn't have a ton of experience. Josh Grisard, he doesn't have a ton of experience
for the Bucs last year. So he had a good start, but remember though, he had so many injuries there, dude. It's tough to really think that Grisard sucked, but they scapegoated him in a way.
Well, no, the standpoint, but even before he was, he spent I don't know, he spent 3, 4, 5, 6 years in Miami. And the last 2, he was a quality control coach for 3 years. Then he got the wide receivers coach job. Then they put him back into quality control, which, remember, quality control, for those who don't know, is entry level. And then all of a sudden the Bucs hire him as the pass game coordinator. And then Liam Cohen leaves and he becomes the offensive coordinator for 1 year. And they blow him out there. So he doesn't have a ton of experience either. So now that I think about it, it's not that bad. But the one thing I was concerned about, and I should have mentioned before, is you cannot bring in a Frank Reich type to overshadow Sean Mannion. Now, I haven't done that. That's what they did with Sean Desai with Matt Patricia. That obviously didn't work. And it would have been highlighting, look, if this guy fails, we're going to bring in this guy. This guy's going to do it. I don't like that approach. That's exactly what they did with Sean Desai and Matt Patricia. And glad they learned from it. As for Grisard, he's got, again, Liam Cohen. They are going to the more of the McVay, McDaniel, Shanahan, blah, blah, O'Connell type tree. But, my point of that is, can you hire anybody not on that tree? Because those guys get all the jobs.
It's true. It's true. Maybe some evolution, John. Maybe some new concepts. All right, real quick, let's rattle these supers. Him Bison. If this hire works well, will Nick get credit, or will everybody say Howie and Jeff made him go outside the org? It's a good question.
Let me just read that. I was reading the text.
You want to run, John? You got to do some and then you can rejoin me if you want to. I don't know what you want to do.
I want to answer the question real quick before I leave. Right, if this hire works well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people will give Howie and Jeff credit because they're the same people that think they do everything. So I mean, that's dependent. I think that's dependent on the person.
This is a good one too. I mean, I see no path for Nick to outlast Jalen in Philly. Either the offense booms and the OC and Hurts look incredible, or the offense stinks and Nick is fired. Never got his quarterback and never ran his offense.
Sending a text. Either the offense booms and the offense scoring and look incredible, or the offense stinks and Nick is fired. Never get this quarterback and ran this offense. It's difficult. It's a small path, right? And he's got Nick Sirianni has the spotlight on him. And it's going to be tough. If the offense stinks, Nick is fired. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And if the offense booms, I think everything's fine. If they would go win the Super Bowl, I think Sean Mannion's a head coach elsewhere, and Nick continues on here. You're not firing a 2-time Super Bowl winning coach and a 3-time Super Bowl appearance. So I think he's fine if everything goes well. I don't think they're going to say, you know what, this is Sean Mannion. We're gonna move aside the two-time Super Bowl winner for Sean Mannion. I just think Sean Mannion's the head coach somewhere else.
We'll see. John, good stuff, brother. I'll talk to you, all right?
All right, thanks.
All right, see you, dude. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen joining us right here. Birds 365. Breaking news. Josh Grisard now is hired. Now we got Mannion and we got Grisard. What is going on in Eagle Land? I kind of like it. I like the Mannion hire. I didn't hate the Mannion hire. Eagle fans, I'm with you, man. We all love to be miserable. I'm not going to act like I'm not in that boat too. But are you not even going to give Sean Mannion the opportunity to do this? You're not even going to give him the time of day? Which I get. I mean, a lot of you guys will say, hey, our window's open now, dude. We can't be hiring dudes that are on fucking training wheels. I get it. Fucking training wheels. But Josh Grisard, Glizzard Minions, Glizzard Minions, Twiz. The Glizzard Minions. Wrong. Zero experience. Wrong. He was the OC in Tampa this year. Shut up, Denny. No, Z, because if he's good, he's leaving within a year. Fuck this. Well, Philip, what do you want to do, Philip? What idea do you have, Philip, that would give you more success than Nick Sirianni and the Eagles have had? Come on, Philip. Let's hear it, Philip. You super genius. Let's hear it, Philip. What do you got, brother? What do you got? Curtis says, Z, I wonder if Howie let Nick pick the coach with this condition so that if things go bad, it doesn't default to more Nick offense. Potentially, Curtis. Play calling head coach, Z. Come on, Philip. Philip, come on. How many play calling head coaches have been hired that have had more success than Nick Sirianni? You're overrating the wrong bullshit. You're overrating the wrong bullshit. Oh, my. Can you believe this? The Eagles have not only hired Sean Mannion, but they've hired Josh Grisard, another candidate. How about that? You're hiring Josh Grisard to be your offensive coordinator, and then you call him and you're like, you didn't get the job. But how about a demotion? How about I hire you for something you were not applying for? Yeah, it's like you see the job posted up on what's the website you go to now to find a job? What are those jobs called? Indeed, or what's it called? Job search places, ZipRecruiter or Indeed. You see a job and you're like, oh, that looks like a good job. The pay is good. That's what I want. All right, let me go and interview. And then you interview and then they say, well, I got a lower position you can have. I guess you're like, all right, I guess I'll settle for it. If I got no other option, I guess I'll settle for it. Glizzy got fired from Tampa, yes. Z, I played your dad's calling of the game so much my coworker would say the Birds like he does. I love it, Wild Bear. All right. Offense about to look there. A big Trag. What up, big Trag? Big Trag is looking at a massive change to the offense. Here's my boy Gary. Let's check in with Gary. There is an old crew chief in NASCAR named Kevin Mannion. His nickname was Abono Mannion. If this guy's a bust, he will become a Bozo Mannion to me. There you go, Gary. Fear not. For Sean Mannion is here. I had a buddy in high school who was in my class, not a close buddy, but a friend of mine in high school. His name was Ryan Mannion. Like I keep mixing it up. I'm like, is it Sean Mannion or is it Ryan Mannion? I got this dude in high school on my fucking mind. No diddy. It's like weird. Guy's name is Ryan Mannion. He was in my class. The guy was one of those super genius kids. The kids who don't do, I didn't do any studying for the test, but I still got a 104. It's like one of those guys. Respect him. He's a smart guy. Congratulations to him. He went to a great college, all sorts of shit. I don't know what he's up to now, but His name's Ryan Mannion. Now I'm sitting here like, what the hell? Sean Mannion, Ryan Mannion, Diddy Mannion, Josh Grisard, Josh Glizzy, you. Holy moly. Z having confusing thoughts for real. Z, it's okay. We still love you. Thanks, Wild Bear. I still love you too. No Diddy. Of course you say that, Fleming. All right. Fuck those kids, Philip says. Charizard. Xander, can Nick's Mannion take us to the promised land? Super Bowl or bust? God forbid a kid gets a B. Philip, I'd be lucky to get a B. Philip, I was not a good student, all right? There's a reason I sit here and talk about sports for a living. I am not a good student. And getting a, the whole thing, Philip. You know how some people say they're just not a good student? You know, it's funny. I was a smart dude, though. I got very good standardized test scores. It's funny. When I got them, I remember my teachers being like, what the hell? How are your standardized test scores so good? I'm like, because you suck at teaching. How about that? Because you're a stiff, and I don't trust you, I don't respect you, and I don't want to listen to you. And I don't do your class well. I fucking hate your class. How's that? Straight B's would have been lucky for me. No, I ended up in Alabama for a reason. My GPA was low, folks. I got a 31 on my ACT, though. And back when the SATs were, it was out of 24. I don't think it's out of 2,400 anymore. You know, I think it's like is that a 16 now? I think I got like a 1,900, 1,880 or something. You know, that was me. I was a smart guy and good at standardized test scores. But when it came to the classroom, nah, not me. No, I'm no Josh Grisard or Sean Mannion. All right. Here's Dirty Days. Sean maybe like KP with no play calling experience, but at least this guy has a great football mind. KP was a nepo hire and only has dumb nephew type jobs like getting coffee. Oh, Dirty D. Afraido. They think Frank Smith is run game OC next. Yeah, we'll see. Afraido, you always want more. Tyler says at week 7, it's not much different or any better than it's all right to talk all this BS speculation y'all are saying now. But for now, no one knows. All right, Tyler. You know, if I let you decide, Tyler, I'll never do another show, and I'll go live in week 7 of the year next year. And then I'll make sure I get your opinion in week 7. In fact, hang the business up. Don't talk about football anymore and wait till week 7 because you got to wait till week 7 to have an opinion. Tyler, sit down and shut the fuck up. Thank you very much. All right. Here's Pope. Who are these guys? We got a dude named Minion, and we just hired a dude named Gizzard. What the F is going on in Eagle Land, man? We have SMH, AI-generated characters. Oh, why? Brian Pumper is not happy. Come on, Pump. Come on, Pump. We got Ryan Mannion, Sean Mannion, here to save the day. And Josh Grisard. What do we got? Sean Mannion and Josh Grisard. Holy mackerel. I think you guys are wrong. I think the Eagles are assembling the Avengers on the offensive staff, led by none other than the greatness of Nick Sirianni. Kevin Petullo has been rebranded to the broom closet. All right, here's JD3. Keeping Jalen Hurts over Nick is a mistake. Give me the coach who can win without his style quarterback rather than the QB who needs everything perfect to win. JD3, interesting point there, my friend. Here's Fleming. The gaslight attempt from Bob Lang yesterday that Sirianni said anything in the tweet they put out. Like we haven't heard Nick's incoherent pressers. Well stated, Brian Fleming. This organization, you know what they love to do? They love to take a spoon, scoop up a big steaming pile of dog shit and serve it to the fan base. And people like the greatness of Alfredo and Dirty D. And who else did I just rip today? Who else got ripped today? I ripped somebody a couple minutes ago. I already forget. Who did I rip today? Who did I just rip in the chat? Can't even find you anymore. The greatness of Dirty D. All right? They serve it to him hook, line, and sinker. And they eat it like they're eating caviar, Fleming. Like it's caviar. Oh, Tyler, thank you. Tyler and Dirty D and Alfredo. They eat it like caviar. Thank you for reminding me of who I ripped. Tyler. Big Mike. ADHD is my superpower. All right? I don't buy into the bullshit. You know, the whole society. How many years have human beings lived on the fucking planet? Now all of a sudden, I got Susie and Billy who want me to sit in a desk all day and live life how they prescribe it. And when I don't do it, you know what they say? Oh, you have a condition. You have to take this medication. You have a condition. How about you shut the fuck up? How's that? Your prescription for life is not what I want to take. And I'm not going to let you make me do it. There's Johnny Mack back in the building on Josh Grisard, baby. Let's get him back up here. Johnny Mack, welcome back to the show, my man. How you doing?
Josh Grisard, passing game coordinator. Yeah, exciting stuff.
All right, John.
It is interesting.
You got some information. What do you got for me, man?
Yeah, I mean, nothing out of the well, just, talking about the type of coach he is, which, Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins, obviously a lot of deep ball stuff to very, very run game influence, did a lot of 12 personnel in Tampa when he had the opportunity. And then using the deep ball, similar to McDaniel's sort of take on the Shanahan stuff. So it's interesting from that perspective to open up the underneath stuff. So another guy who you're going to hear a lot about the pre-snap stuff and the motions to create leverage. So that's something that'll excite people. But, the pass game coordinator is not as impactful as the offensive coordinator. So, it's when you get two of your final four, I think that's a positive thing. And you're able to, one of the big things, the object of this was to, get fresh voices, get new ideas. So that was kind of the objective. And now they have two layers to that. So I think it's a positive from that perspective. And, I do think it says that some of these guys and Grisard, obviously things didn't work out for him in Tampa Bay. You never want to have 1 year. And there was a significant decrease. There was a significant decrease. If you look at Liam Cohen, they were third in total yards. I think they fell to 20th or 21st. I'm looking at it. Scoring fell from 4th to 18th. Passing offense from 3rd to 15th. Rushing offense from 4th to 20th. So there was a significant decline. But remember, they had big injuries to Mike Evans, who missed a large portion of the season. Bucky Irving, he was a big-time back, lost about nine games. So that was a big part of their struggles as well. The good part is, he got that year play calling experience. So you have that to add to the mix as well. But, this is Sean Mannion's show. But I do think it also talks about the process, unveiling more. That's one thing. And to myself, I haven't talked about that as much as I should. Sometimes, and you see it more with head coaching. You see some of the head coaching interviews where you might be hiring somebody to be a head coach, but you're really thinking about them as a coordinator. And you have that sort of dual possibility when you get to talk to someone. And I think there was some of that going on at a lower level. Well, can we get this guy the passing game coordinator? And to get both of them to your Final Four, that's impressive. So, kind of pushes back on the idea that nobody wants to come to Philadelphia, which has been a narrative that is partially true. I mean, to be honest, for guys with options, guys with a lot of options, they looked in different directions, but a lot of young coaches look at this as an opportunity to be a springboard to get back into where they want to be, whether that's offensive coordinator or a head coach in this league. So, yeah, I think people should be excited. You get Sean Mannion and Josh Grisard. So, a lot of youth though, and that could be good. And we had some of these talks when they hired Nick Sirianni because it looked like a very inexperienced coaching staff, and it worked out well. Maybe it can work out well again. But you're definitely getting the fresh ideas that everybody wanted, because these are two voices from outside the organization that don't have a history with the organization. So
Right.
at the bare minimum, you're getting that fresh outlook and that new eyes on the problems that need to be solved.
There you go. Interesting perspective. Interesting approach the Eagles have taken here, John. I think I'm going to hit you with my concern first. I kind of like this setup, but I will say this: is there too many cooks in the kitchen?
Well, no, well, this is the standard setup in the NFL now. You have a head coach.
I mean, you got a head coach who's an offensive guy who you have Patullo. Is he still in the building? You have Grisard now. You have Mannion. Grisard has more play calling experience than Mannion. Nick has more experience than both of them. Kevin is maybe still in the room. Jalen.
Well, I don't think Kevin. I don't think Kevin's going to be relevant to the. If he does come back, and I don't expect him back, but if he does come back, it would be more in an administrative role. I don't think he's going to be involved on the offensive.
I agree, but like the roles are the same, right? There's an offensive coordinator and a pass game coordinator everywhere. It's not often though that the pass game coordinator has more experience than the offensive coordinator. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, not necessarily, but I mean, when you're talking about in this case, they're both very young. Josh is only 35, I think. So Sean's 33, Josh is 35. I believe I have to double check that. And he's only been a coach. He's only been a coordinator for 1 year. Like I said before I left, if it were Frank Reich, then I think it would be a really bad setup. And that's why I brought up Sean Desai. If it were somebody with extensive experience, then I think it's a bad setup for a young offensive coordinator. Because you always have that shadow looming over you. These guys are pretty close when it comes to experience. And yeah, Josh has a little bit more, but not enough to where you say it moves the needle. And again, this is the traditional setup now with head coach, offensive coordinator, passing game coordinator. So I don't think you put Kevin Patullo in the mix, other than I think he might have I think he's going to leave eventually, but I think if he stays, it'll be in more of an administrative associate head coach type thing, something like that, not involved with the offense.
John, do you think this is a move where they have the eye on the turnover? You hear people talk about how if they're successful, they're gone and you got to reset. Well, now you have an offensive coordinator and a pass game coordinator. If you're successful next year and, hey, maybe they're pie in the sky, they're back in the Super Bowl, and Sean Mannion is the next head coach of some team that's going to fire their head coach this year, is that maybe why they got a guy like Grisard to be the pass game? Do you think that's on their mind, or simply just thought he was the best guy for the job?
Well, I think both. I do think, that's an interesting point, but I don't think it's as seamless as that. I mean, that's what the Eagles thought they had with Kellen Moore and Kevin Patullo, with just more experience, right? And it doesn't necessarily translate the one guy, and you make that seamless transition. So yeah, on paper it looks good, and say now you have somebody in that you'd be confident with to be an offensive coordinator. You interviewed to be an offensive coordinator, has been an offensive coordinator. but it doesn't guarantee any kind of transition as we saw and we've seen in the past. But I think the most important part from the Eagles' perspective is the fresh eyes on the problem, so to speak, and what went wrong. And it is good, if you think about it from a business standpoint. Sometimes you're too close to things, and you bring in outside advisors or to look at things and say, "Hey, did you think about doing this? Did you think about doing this?" So I think from that. I think that was the main objective of the Eagles in this process, is to get some. That's why I never bought into the Jim Bob Cooter stuff. It was too close, even though it's not fair because he wasn't here that long. But it was just, it's a tough sell.
It didn't give you the same perspective, or the same,
Which now you can say, well, this guy has no history. He's been in Green Bay with good coaches. He's been around. Sean McVay's been around. Kevin O'Connell, even though he's a player, he's got that perspective, and he's a new set of eyes to look at this. And the same thing with Josh Grisard, who's been, with Mike McDaniel, who they had a lot of interest in. And
John, I think Josh Grisard had a tough hand this year. I know he got fired, and people are going to look and say, "Oh, he got fired his first year as a play caller." Anybody who
I agree. I mean, you take away Mike Evans and Bucky Irving, and
they had more injuries than that too. Godwin was out certain times. They had offensive line injuries. Tristan Wirfs missed games. They had a bunch of injuries on that football team. A lot.
Yeah, and he had, as Jordan Schultz said, he had a Baker Mayfield playing at an MVP level for 5 weeks.
The 6-week MVP. That's right. This is the week 6 MVP of the year.
So I chuckled at that one, but. Look, if the Eagles lost A.J. Brown for 10 games and Saquon Barkley for 10 games, they probably struggle. So, I do think he had some, but that's part of the NFL. Yeah, that's why I always say it's not just Philadelphia. Nobody's putting in the context in Tampa and saying, "Oh, we had a lot of injuries. Let's give him a second chance." They blew him out. Tough industry. But, from this perspective, to get both of them to your Final Four, and it also kind of it doesn't necessarily confirm, but kind of confirms that these were their two top choices. So potentially, maybe Jared Johnson wanted to go somewhere else. Maybe Jim Bob has a chance at the Giants job, but from what I was told, the fresh ideas, the fresh eyes, even more than anything, sometimes you're too close to it, and to get those outside looks, maybe is a good thing.
John, do you think that then does this mean Parks Frazier is effectively fired, or do you, he's, for those who don't know, Parks Frazier is the pass game coordinator from last year. He was elevated to that role after Kevin Patullo got elevated from the pass game coordinator. Parks Frazier out?
Not official, but I would think he's not going to be back, and that's as we said, there's probably going to be more movement on the offensive staff than just the coordinator. This is the first part of that. We'll see if there's more, but this is not. This is not, as you can tell by the timing and how it unfolded, this is not Sean Mannion bringing in somebody to be the passing game coordinator. This is the Eagles bringing in somebody to be the passing game coordinator, and Nick Sirianni. So it doesn't necessarily mean a death knell for Jeff Stoutland or Aaron Moorhead or Jamal Singleton. But Parks Frazier. And, potentially still got to deal with quarterback coach. They might look at Parks Frazier to be the quarterback's coach. And they could go in that direction, or, they could keep Scott Lepler. There's a lot of things still to be determined, but obviously when you're the passing game coordinator and they give somebody else your job, it's not a positive development for Parks Frazier on the surface.
All right, John. So last year they had Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, and Parks Frazier as your pass game coordinator. Now they have Nick Sirianni, Sean Mannion, and Josh Grisard as their pass game coordinator. In your opinion, is that an upgrade on the offensive coaching staff as it stands today?
Well, I mean, they haven't coached a practice, it's the nature of the industry. If you underachieve, they're going to make changes. And I think there's positive and negatives to probably every change. But in this case, I think the positive is they've gotten stale on offense. I think everybody can agree with that, whether you point to the success, and even Nick Sirianni has used that word in the past. They've gotten a little bit stale on offense, and I think the positive part is to get somebody from outside the organization to look at it with from a new perspective, with new ideas, for fresh eyes. I think that part of it's a positive and was probably needed. Whether they end up being better coaches, nobody knows. I mean, but I think it was needed at this point. So from that standpoint, everybody's got a shelf life. Maybe the shelf life of Kevin Patullo and Parks Frazier is over, and you get a new sort of bump, and that tends to go in a positive direction. Whether they can sustain it, that's the trick, and that is a big question, because not a ton of experience from either guy. Now, Josh has more coaching experience. I think he was in Miami for 6 or 7 years, but most of that was spent as a quality control guy. Couple years as a wide receivers coach. So not a lot of experience, but the fresh ideas, new thoughts on the problems are the positive to it.
John, there was a big talk yesterday about Jeff Stoutland. All right. And Jeff McClain report came out. Somebody brought up on the afternoon show and reminded me of something that you said earlier in the season, which was very, that you shed light on that. They didn't give you guys like any availability with Jeff Stoutland this year. Like you almost felt like it was like intentional. Now, I don't want to speak for you. You can address it when I'm done my question. What do these hires mean for Jeff Stoutland? Is he moving into it? You think his time as run game coordinator is coming to an end? Do you think the report that he lost his privileges or lost his role on the offense in that regard is true last year? And maybe that's one of the reasons they didn't want you guys talking to him. How do you see the whole Jeff Stoutland? And then with the new hires, what do you think it means for Jeff Stoutland?
No, that's not the reason. I mean, you just with the assistant coaches, it's just very difficult during the season to get access. They talk once basically in training camp. They're supposed to talk twice during the year. You can request them, but they rarely get. They rarely. One of the issues is I don't want to get too inside baseball, but they want to hear angles of potential stories, and that's not the way things are done. So I don't agree with the way they handle that. But that's a little bit of inside baseball. But it had nothing to do with any sort of status about removal of whether that happened or not. I think from my perspective, and I did kick around that a little bit. Again, and I mentioned for people who want to listen to yesterday's show, run game coordinator, I brought up the Cheers example. It's like it's overblown, number one. But number two, they were running a lot more under center concepts, which is not what Jeff was, known for, familiar with, has been doing. So I think the shift was, I think it had to do with that. It was a slight shift. They just wanted to see if that would improve the running game. It did a little bit, and then it kind of teetered out. So I thought it was, I think it's overblown. Not that Jeff's report is untrue. I just think the whole idea of run game coordinator is overblown. I think it's not that big of a deal.
But do you think Stoutland will be back, or like do you expect any change to that title, to that role? What do you think?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with whether he wants to be back under a new offensive coordinator. He's 33. I think there's a lot in Jeff Stoutland's. I think people, Jeff has thought about walking away. Jeff is older, as people talk with Vic Fangio as well. So I think a lot of it is whether he wants to come back under another new offensive coordinator. Just look it up. Jeff is 63. He's thought about retiring in the past. He's had a little bit of, health problems, thankfully not terribly serious, but people remember he had to leave a game at one point. So I think a lot of it comes to him. I do think, like, if you had, and I explained this, if you got Mike McDaniel, he's probably not going to be back. All right. You with Sean Mannion, they probably want him back.
Right.
So it was always wholly dependent. Now, does he want to come back is part of it as well. So
yeah, maybe he does.
It works both ways. But I think in best case scenario, they'll want him back. Why wouldn't you want him back?
John, do you think that there's more changes coming to the offensive staff? And if they are, just kind of give us an early look at what they might be or what to look out for now that the offensive coordinator and now also the passing game coordinator is in place with the hiring of Sean Mannion and Josh Grisard. What's next now? And do you expect more change, more turnover on this staff?
Yeah, I mean, I do expect more change. I think you got a potential change at quarterback. I think you got a potential change at wide receiver.
Coaching.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always thought there'd be more turnover on the offensive staff than people were thinking. Now that lessened a little bit with Sean because I said he just doesn't have a large Rolodex. He can't. He's only been coaching for 2 years. So I thought that was a positive development for some of the assistants. But yeah, until they're back, we don't know if they're back, and I'm sure they're thinking about changes at a bunch of positions, and for the same reasons. Again, everybody's got a shelf life. Everybody does this, and that's just the nature of the NFL and the coaching profession. Unfortunately, I mean, these guys get new jobs every couple of years, a lot of them, and a lot of them have been in. If you look at Stout, because I just pulled him up, here's Stout. He's been coaching a long time. Southern Connecticut, Syracuse, Cornell, back to Syracuse, Michigan State, Miami, getting the going to Alabama the first time before he comes to the Eagles. So he was all over the place in college before he got to Chip Kelly brought him here, and things settled down for him. Just part of it, man. Part of it.
Josh Grisard and Sean Mannion, John, you get them both in one day here, or 2 days, but in the same quick period of time. All right, John, your final thought here as the Eagles have now started to assemble the staff. Offensive coordinator pin has fallen. The pass game coordinator pin has fallen. 2 of their final 4 candidates, John, hired. I don't think we thought we were getting 2 of them. Well, we got 2 of them.
No, I didn't think we were getting 2 of them. And I didn't necessarily think Parks Frazier would be removed, but again, there's going to be more turnover than expected, I think, on the offensive side, and that there could be a couple more moves. He had just gotten here. He had a history of Nick Sirianni, but that's one of the things. I mean, that's not a good thing. That's ironic, but Nick's got to bring in fresh ideas and perspective. So having that history was not, in my estimation, a good thing, and that's why I went away from Jim Bob Cooter. So, And I don't think that's fair, but I just think that's sort of there's always a pendulum effect in NFL coaching, always. So when you have a player's coach, then you go to the disciplinarian when it fails. There's always a pendulum effect, and you go the opposite direction. And that, I think, is what's going on here with the idea of bringing in new perspectives to solve problems that couldn't be solved last year.
Let's see if it works, John. I just saw you retweeted the Pac-12's all-time passing leader, Sean Mannion, and his Oregon State highlights. Everybody ought to go and check them out. All right. I think he had 13,600 yards and 83 touchdowns. Oh, my.
Yeah, big lanky guy. Wait till you see how tall he is.
Looks like Tanner McKay, dude. Freaking Tanner McKay.
Yeah.
It's like he's a combination of Tanner McKee and Kellen Moore. That's what Sean Mannion is. Take Tanner, take Kellen, fuse them together, you get Sean Mannion.
He's actually a little bit taller than Tanner. So he's very tall.
Dude. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, John. Great stuff, man. We got a reaction show, and then we had a breaking news show as well. Not often do you get them both in the same day. Good stuff, John. I will talk to you when I talk to you, but I don't know what they're doing. We might have more news later today at this point. When they get the ball rolling, maybe they just start kicking it to us. So we will see, John. Good stuff, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, man.
See ya. There's Johnny Mac. John McMullen joining me right back here on Birds 365. Good stuff. Appreciate John joining back in. All right, 2 hires have landed. Eagles, Sean Mannion, and then Josh Grisard, baby. Anybody smell that? Does anybody smell that? Pump, you smell that, Pump? Big Mike, you smell that, Big Mike? Catch XRP, you smell it? Fredo, I know you smell it. Keith, I know you smell it. I wanted to see what you guys filled in. My crock pot smells good. Smells like shit. I smell 9 and 8. Is it the Super Bowl? Or is it BS? I smell MVP Hurts. I smell it, motherfucker. What's that stink? It's either that Philly ass juice smell when you're down on the streets in North Philly. You know, you're up by 18th and Girard, 18th and Cumberland. Or you got that confetti smell. Keep sniffing. Let me know what you guys smell. All right? Let me know what you guys smell. What a show. I ripped a couple people. Johnny Mac joined for the update on Grisard. Sean Mannion has landed. Oh, aye. The water is fine in Eagle Land. The Great Reset. Smells like Kensington. Smells like Pumper. I don't know what I want to know what that smells like. All right. Oh, baby. Guys, I'm not gonna be a doomer. All right. If you want to fucking be a doomer, HKP, if you want to fucking be a doomer for the next 6 months, then be my guest. Do whatever the hell you want. I'm not gonna sit here and be a doomer for the next 6 months. Oh, we hired Sean Mannion. What are we gonna do? I'm Philip. I'm Tyler. Oh, shut up. We got some offensive guys in the building. That smell is lingering. Skyscrape, shut your bitch ass up, Skyscrape. Jeff Bone says, we got a lot cooking, baby. Jeff, forgive me if my animations are no good. I'm not much of a cook. So I don't know how to make the right animation. What do? Stir the pot? Catch, how you doing the crock pot? What do you got, the wooden spoon out? You stirring up the crock pot? Oh, baby. I think it smells good in here. HKP. I just hope they get to do what they want to do and not be conservative. Nope. Probably not happening, man. Probably not happening. I'm dying. Me too, Philip. Abe says, hit the 6-7. Abe, I don't even know what that is, man. Xander, come on, bro. You got to know how to make gumbo. Leon, I'll leave that for you and the ladies. I'm good. All right? My life has been perfectly fine without ever needing or having to learn the ability to cook a meal in the kitchen. You want to put me on the grill, I'll do it. And I'll remind you guys, when I lived in the great city, actually, I'll take that back. When I lived in Houston, Texas, I used to chef up. There's your boy Z, chefing up. What's that? Some steak and veggies. All right? Look at this burger I made with an egg with the yolk broken on it. All right? You got the tomato, you got an egg, you got lettuce, you got a fat burger, and a nice bun. All right? It's not because I don't want to or I can't. It's because I choose not to. Watch how you talk. All right? Watch how you talk. Gay ass. Yo, Catch, shut the fuck up, Catch. Go cook your stupid ass crock pot. What do? Drop some fucking processed cheese and some chicken in there and you think you can cook? You know, my beautiful fiance, she makes all her bread from scratch. Her burger buns from scratch. All right? So I'm a blessed man. I don't need to sit in my kitchen all day. Oh, man. MF has a square. You like that? Did I have a square plate there, Keith? Where's that square plate? Oh, yeah, that's a square plate, Keith. Oh, my. What else did I cook? I haven't cooked since Houston, so, who would know? All right. All right. I love how you guys you guys think that you're insulting me. Hey, dude, go cook a meal. All right, bro. All right, bro. All right. Cooking them dirty steaks. Pump, you wish. You wish, Pump. Fucking only the best. A5 Wagyu. All right? Grass-fed, grass-finished. Straight from the farm, baby. Come on, Pump. Look at him. Look at Big Irish. Thank you, Big Irish. Thank you. We got a bunch of stiffs in here, Big Irish, who don't know their ass from a hole in the wall. They don't know their ass from a hole in the wall. Here's Big Irish. I'm a Packer fan here. Sean Mannion is head coach material. It's a shame we lost him, Xander. Say it louder for the people in the back that want to doom and gloom all day. This guy's a stud. This guy's a stud. As I told you last night when the news broke. And all you guys, oh my God, how can they do this? It's 33. He's a stud. Catch says, save this for replay in game 7. Catch, don't do it, all right? You might make me look like an idiot. It is what it is. Part of the life I live. Is Sean Mannion not a great? He is a good hire. I've been saying it for 2 days. I do grill during the summer. That's something I love to do. I get the Blackstone out. Clean it up, oil it up, get the top all going, drop the steaks on, get the veggies over here, you got the potatoes over here. Come on, man. You don't grill it up. You kidding me? This is what you do. You get a stogie, all right? You get a fat stogie, all right? You sit out at the grill. You got your stogie in your mouth. Whip it up. Whip it up. Whip it up. That's what you do. You whip it up. You flip the steak. Boom, boom. Woo! Don't let me get going. Don't let your boy get hot, folks. All right? Don't let your boy get hot. Zander, calm down. Ryan, why don't you sit down and shut up, dork? Zander, high right now. No, I'm not. Snap back. Toes out, flipping burgers. Toes out. You know, if the summertime is around, I don't need shoes on all the time, especially if you're down in the beautiful, the great Cape May, New Jersey, the greatest place on earth. Come on, man. Kyle of Zika, well done. You're what a trash comment, Reyes. Of all the shitty comments you've made, man. Catch, I got the vet in the garage, brother. Vet is chilling in the garage. All right? Safe from all the ice. Okay? Can't sit down, Z. Some of us have to stand while we go. Oh, good one, Ryan. You got me, bro. Dumbass. Well done, steaks. Leave that for the Abes and the Ryans of the world. All right. And the Phillips and the Peters and the Reyeses and the Tylers and the Curtises. Here's Flubbeck. They begged Charizard so they could fire Petunia. Petulo's at the broom closet. They ripped off the Howie sticker finally after 12 years, and they put a new fresh piece of tape on there, you know, like some duct tape, and they put it on the door, and they got the Sharpie out. You know, they got their Sharpie out. This is reserved for Mr. Kevin Petulo. Thank you for the broom closet. Thank you for the opportunity, he responded. It's like Harry Potter. The guy lives under the stairs. You know, Kevin Petulo just broke in. Harry, I got bad news, Harry. You're getting kicked out. What's the family's name that Harry used to live with? What's the Harry Potter family name? What's the damn name? The Dursleys. The Dursleys. Kevin Petulo's living under the staircase. The Dursleys kicked out Potter and said, hey, this is reserved for Kevin Petulo. The Dursleys. Vernon, his uncle Vernon. Oh, man. You know what's funny? Is that what you call him, Petunia? Is that what you mean? Is that what you mean by calling him Petunia? The what? I'm reading right now. His aunt, who I guess is the fat dude's wife, her name is Petunia. Is that where that came from? I never knew what the hell you meant. I just read your comment because you send them and you pay super chat money. I never knew what the hell that's what you meant, though. It's Potter. Potter's under the stairs. Potter, you've been evicted, guy. Wingardium Leviosa. You're out. I'm going to Wingardium Leviosa you to the fucking backyard, guy, because Kevin Patullo lives here now. Holy moly. Here's Flexin. Flexin, what's the matter? You only show up what, Flexin? You're too big for us now, Flex. I only show up when I got to bitch about the Eagles and shit on them. Is that what it is, Flex? Sean Mannion's a stud, Flex. Wrong. Sean Mannion is a stud. A freaking stud. Here's Fly Eagles Fly is a girl. One of the great females of JAKIB Nation. She says, Pump makes me laugh out loud. Just saying. Fly Eagles Fly. Me too. I love Pump's comment. I don't care what they are. I don't care. He cracks me up, man. He makes doing the shows a lot more fun. Taryn says, y'all a bunch of Sean Mannionites. Put me in the Mannionite category. Put me in the Mannionite category. All right. Curtis, one of my favorite meals at restaurants. Ask my woman, if there's steak tartare on the restaurant, on the menu, there's never a single scenario that exists in the world where I will not order it. Okay? I will order it first every single time. If steak tartare is available, I'm ordering it. So for the well done gooners in the chat, yeah. Get the hell out of here. Here's Flexing. He gonna shit the bed. Get him some Pepto-Bismol. Sounds like Flex. Love Carpaccio. Love a Carpaccio. Here's Xander goes with bullshit. Skyscrape, shut your bitch ass up. Philly Don back from surgery. Hope it went well, Don. Good to see you in here, man. Come on, PHY. But if you wanted my honest answer to that, let me keep that off the air. I'll just say this. The use of, how can I word this? Plastic and rubbers is not for Dons. Fucking what? Here's Dirty D. Sean may be like KP with no play calling experience, but at least this guy has a great football mind. I got that one already. Not even a good comment. Can't believe I read it twice. Can't believe I read it twice. All right. Skyscrape says, Xander, why you always reply to me when I shit on you? You shit on me? Look, don't dish it out if you can't take it. If you can't take it, then don't fucking dish it. Sit in the corner like a little cuck. You sit there, sit down and shut the fuck up. All right? Good. Good. Hey. Good boy. Good. Stay. Good. Oh, classic. Skyscrape in the corner. Oh, man. All right, guys. What a classic show today. All right. I shredded. How many people did I shred today? How many people did I shred today? How about Ryan hit me with a comment? He thought he made like the comment of the year earlier. He's like, I have to stand when I work. Well, cool, Ryan. Cool, bro. What do you want, a cookie? Best I can do is a saltine cracker. Take it or leave it. Oh, man. All right. Best I can do is a saltine. Take it or leave it. Wanda says, Xander, I smell bullshit this season. That's not what I smell. I don't smell bullshit. That's for you and Flex. All right. Skyscrape. I'll be out there. I got a dinner tonight in the city. Hey, Skyscrape. You see me on the streets. We all know what you're doing. You're running up. Zander, what's up, my boy? I love you, bro. I love your content. Can we get a quick picture, brother? Yo, can you sign my phone? Can you do that? What up, Skyscrape? Come on, Skyscrape. You can't fool me. You can't fool me. Come on, Skyscrape. Philly Don, you missed a good one today, man. You missed a good one today. You did. All right? You missed a good one. I think Mannion will be our OC. Oh, Ryan, dang, another good comment. Oh, man. Classic. Yeah, I like these hires. All right, we got Nick Sirianni up top. Boom. Then we got right under him, SN, Sean Mannion. Then we got over here, we got JG. Not to be confused with Jonathan Gannon, we got Josh Grisard. Then we got Stoutland, Jeff Stoutland. Who else we got? Parks Frazier, you're out. Kevin Patullo, you're out. Christian Parker, you're out. Eagles. Give me 12-5 next year. Give me 12-5 next year. All right? Give me 12-5. Maybe a little better. I need the yelling guy sound clip. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Uh-oh, where is it? What happened to it? You got to be. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. There he is. There he is. Classic. Big Trag says, I love these hires. Big Trag, I like them too, man. I think they're good. I think they're good hires. You know, sometimes I don't know what people want. Sometimes I think people want to cure cancer when they hire an offensive coordinator. You're hiring an offensive coordinator. Get me a guy that knows ball. Get me a guy that understands the game. Get me a guy that understands the position. Get me a guy that's going to help Jalen Hurts. Get me a guy that can help this offense. I believe that Sean Mannion and Josh Grisard can do that. Okay? Philip, exactly right. Z unites the Jalenites and I like how you call them the regular Eagle fans. Classic. Classic. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I got some shit to do. All right? I got shit to do. I got places to be. I got tasks to accomplish. I got steaks to cook. Just kidding. It's winter. Good question by Philly Tide. Z, how do you expect stiffs to recognize a stud? I love that comment. All right. I love that comment. All right. All right, guys. Love all you guys. Appreciate it. Skyscrape, you can get out of the corner now. Actually, now you just sit there another 10 minutes. All right. Appreciate all you guys. If steak tartare is on the menu, you order it and you trust me. You order it and you trust me. You don't read what it is. You don't cry that it's raw. You order it and you eat it. And then you come into JAKIB chat and you say, thank you, Z. Okay? You go in, you order it, you eat it, and you say thank you. Good boy. All right. Love all you guys. See you next time, everybody.
EAGLES. Eagles.